There you go. Welcome, folks, to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. It is, let's see, Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. We are getting after it live, as we always are, Wednesday evening. But of course, shout out to everybody out there that catches us non-live. We are the MCU's Bleeding Edge. I am co-host Jeff S., a.k.a. True Knowledge. Waiting for my co-host Cybernetic Shark to show up. He's running behind, but we do have lots of guests on tonight to cover Alien Earth episodes 1 and 2. Andre's the pop culture guy is with me as always. And with us is let's see, Ron, John, and I guess Steve from Schmovie podcast. Welcome to the show, guys. We appreciate having you on to cover Alien Earth. It's good to have you for the first time. And Danny's back from Seen It Before podcast. It's good to see you again, Danny.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Danny's a lot of fun to have on, so I'm glad he's back. And like I said, we're waiting for Cyber to come on. But while we're waiting for Cyber to come on, guys, let me just bat it around real quick and just ask what everybody thinks, or thought about Alien Earth going into watching the show, trailer-wise and everything. Because I know everybody here probably has seen that trailer or those trailers. What were your thoughts on Alien Earth, when you knew about the concept of it and saw the trailers and everything? Danny, since this is your second time coming out, I'll go to you first.
Actually, I didn't watch. I don't think I watched any of the actual trailers. I just saw all the kind of 10-second teasers or whatever on FX and stuff. And I know I've been hearing about this show for it feels like 5 years. Back when I think it was the concept of it was announced back when Covenant was out in theaters in 2017. And now we finally have it. And, so all I knew about it was that it was an alien show on Earth. And now they're finally following through with what they were going to do with Alien 3. And then now, Hey,
that's valuable information. I didn't know that. I had no idea that they started this whole process back in 2017 or whatever. So that's actually very valuable. So I appreciate that, Danny.
That might be wrong, but that specific year just feels forever.
I'm sure it probably took a while to put it together and make it all work. It's a grand show. Very, very, very big. Like me and Ron were talking about in the studio. So, Ron, what do you think? What were your thought of the whole concept of Alien Earth when you kind of found out about it?
I mean, a big budget alien movie. I may be one of the few people in the world. I think John and I are the only people that love Prometheus with our heart and soul. You love it too, Danny? Okay.
Prometheus is a really good, really fun movie.
Yeah, man. I kneel at the altar of Prometheus. I love that movie, and I think that a big budget being put towards Alien is really exciting. And I think it's ironic because your podcast is called The Bleeding Edge. There's so many bleeding edges in this show that got exhausted.
There's actually not that many. When you look us up, when you look up The Bleeding Edge, in general, you'll find us a lot. There's not that many edges. There's a couple of other podcasts, but none of them as long as ours. Not as many episodes or seasons or whatever.
Gotcha. But yeah. So I was really excited, man. Bottom line.
All right, cool. John, same question, sir.
The Alien franchise is one of those franchises that I'm just always on board for more of, and I'm always interested to see what they do with it. I mean, Alien is one of those perfect movies for me. I just love it. And I think that kind of what Ronald said, I like the big swing of Prometheus. I like the way that broadened the world. I think generally on our show, we've always been kind of all in, not so much always loving it, but always interested. You could have 3 bad Alien movies in a row and announce another one, and I would probably still be intrigued to see what someone's going to do with it because so many people bring their take to it. And then you add the question of, well, then whose take are we getting? And Noah Hawley is a creator who I just have absolute faith in. I think Fargo is one of the coolest television achievements of recent memory. And I think that when he announced he was doing this project, I had a hard time going well, is it going to be like Legion? Is it going to be like Fargo? What Noah Hawley are we going to get? And it's cool that we're definitely getting Noah Hawley, but we're getting what I would hope, which is something that seems like it fits into this alien world, but because it's a television show, we're getting to kind of stretch out and have more breathing room than we've ever had to get to know the characters and stuff. So I think I just felt like, oh yeah, it's cool. All these franchise expansions going into prestige television, the Alien franchise feels like one that can really sustain that kind of expansion that I knew Noah Hawley could probably do. So super excited.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to find out if anybody can look up and find out how much this show cost. If they've even announced that information at this point, I'm not sure if they have or not.
The only thing I've seen is that it cost more than Shogun, and that cost $250 million for the series. So
yeah, Shogun was not cheap.
Right.
Most definitely. Yeah, we really enjoyed doing Shogun. It was really good. That was a lot of fun to cover on the Bleeding Edge. We had a blast with that. Right, Andre? Shogun was a blast. We had a lot of fun with that. That was fun to watch and fun to cover, just like Alien Earth is, I think, so far. What do you think, Steve? Same question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to repeat everything again, but I think just the property is ripe, and I think the thing I'll add is just, to Danny's point, this has been around or talked about for 6 years or more. But I think the timing of it coming out after Romulus is really great timing, because I think at least commercially and kind of zeitgeistiness, Alien Romulus definitely registered theatrically with audiences, and whatever social media you frequent, it was kind of prevalent pretty strongly during its run, both theatrically, even when it came home on a video on demand. So I think, to have that time that it took to make this show, which, yeah, I'm always game for an Alien movie. Noah Hawley, you start saying Timothy Oliphant is in this thing, I'm just like, you're just making me more interested in this thing that I've already signed on for everything they put out. But yeah, I think my major feeling, timing-wise, is that they chose an amazing time to actually get it out, because both for FX's slate, it's a really great property to put out now. And, it's kind of coming out towards the end of the summer, so all the big theatrical releases have already hit theaters, so people might be looking for something at home now. And this is cinematic is a great word, I think, after these first 2 episodes. But just the hype around it for me, the timing is just great, because, I mean, I loved Romulus. And I just think it's reinvigorated the franchise in a very mass audience direction that only helps this show, I think, with just registering and maybe putting eyes on it. So
yeah, like if the biggest ding people gave that was like the way that people criticized The Force Awakens, which is for being a little bit of a greatest hits reel,
right.
I think like if you liked Romulus, here's like the 2 of that 1-2 punch. Here is the something different that maybe people would have wished for Romulus to be. I totally agree.
Well, yeah, it's always good to have more of something that you like, at the end of the day. Right? So, it's kind of a no-doubter. What do you think, Andres?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it short. I mean, I'm a huge fan of this franchise. I mean, if you love the first 2, I mean, Alien and Aliens, so iconic for like the cinema of our time. And I think when I heard this, it was like after the Disney deal happened with Fox.
Right. Yep.
They were talking about, okay, we want to like expand the Predator, all their like assets to new projects. That's why I heard about the show. And when I heard now, as you guys were bringing up, Noah Hawley being part of it, I was like, yes, that's so cool. I mean, I was first introduced to him in Legion, the Marvel show, which I love, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. And I have seen the other seasons of Fargo as well. So I was like, okay, this is safe hands. He's a good choice. One of the great things about the Alien franchise, compared to like other IPs, it's like a more director auteur. Like you can tell from each Alien movie, except for AVP, because that's bad. But anyway, I just need to do that as an Alien fan. But like each movie has a stink from the directors, like even the bad ones. Like, I mean, look, Alien 3 is very bad, but like you can tell that's a David Fincher film. And it's like, wow, he was like right there before, his more acclaimed films. And same thing with Alien Resurrection. And, I didn't mind the really stock films, Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I my first Alien movie was Alien Romulus last year. I really like it because first off, Freddie Atavias, who directed the remake from Evil Dead 2013, and he did Don't Breathe. That was a really great horror film. I was like, oh, he really nailed that. I like how he brought some concept from the Alien Isolation game. I don't know if you guys played that game. That's also a good game for Alien fans to do. And I like how you brought that in. And, I like, as John, you brought up before with Force Awakens, I appreciate at least I understood what he was trying to do. And it wasn't far out in the Alien franchise. Like, you have to remember that the androids always look like the previous one. Like, we saw that with Bishop in, like, Aliens and then Alien 3 where, that's questionable, but, like, we've seen, like, duplicates of them, but just with different names. So I was fine with, I'm forgetting the name of the android that looked like Ian Holm from...
it was Ash, but yeah, I don't remember the name of the new guy.
For that. So, but overall, I'm very happy to say, just as just wrapping up with Jeff, it's apparently the budget was $250 for this show. Wow. So that makes a lot of sense, and you can tell they spent a lot of money, which is good.
Yeah.
So
all the money's on the screen. Yeah.
Well, I remember Noah Hawley saying that it was going to deliver. Like he said, if you're a fan of the Alien franchise, he was trying to make something that on an episode by episode basis would deliver. And these first two episodes definitely deliver on that promise of each one at least has one kind of, really horrible thing happening to somebody, if not several.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Andres, let me go ahead and get into this first episode of Alien Earth. So it's this is actually directed by Noah Hawley. This first episode is, and it's written by Noah Hawley. Speak of the man. This is just like this is the Wikipedia, episode breakdown. So there's going to be a little bit of a lack of detail to this, but just do the best you can with this as far as accompaniment for the episode, guys. So in 2120, 5 companies control Earth and the colonized solar system, including the recently founded Prodigy Corporation. The USCSS Maganote, a Weyland-Yutani C-class deep space research vessel, approaches Earth after a 65-year expedition to obtain extraterrestrial specimens, among them facehuggers. On Earth, at Prodigy's Neverland Research Island, a terminally ill child named Marcy Hermit becomes the first hybrid, having her consciousness transferred to an adult synthetic, and remains herself Wendy. So I'll stop there. And obviously there's a lot to fill in there. When it showed, the crew of the ship, it kind of like flashed forward and it showed some of their deaths and some of that and everything, throughout those scenes too,
They pulled an Event Horizon on us.
Yeah, something like that, kind of similar to Event Horizon, I guess. But obviously, there's a lot, to the scenes of, the Marcy Hermit character. You see quite a bit of her, kind of meeting, with what's his name, Timothy Olyphant's character, Seattle or whatever.
Kirsch.
Kirsch. All right, Kirsch. All right, cool. He's obviously a synthetic as well. And he's kind of like her teacher or whatever, I guess. But anyways, that's essentially how the episode begins. Is what I just broke down there for you guys. And Andres, I'll go right back to you, sir. What are your thoughts on that first third of the episode?
Sorry. Anyway, I thought this beginning was a good start to the episode of this Alien Earth, because right away I appreciate, just like Alien Romulus and I guess Alien Romulus and some of the good starts of franchise is you could tell that they love the first movie and in general the world that really Scott has built from day one from 1979. Look at John's background. Seeing that, the communication thing, it's so iconic. It's literally from 2001: A Space Odyssey, and seeing that, I was like, oh, okay, we're good. And then seeing the crew, like it remind you of like how the original crew was, with Ripley, like the space truckers, and you totally got that vibe, which I was like, oh god, they really nailed that, and especially the like I love obviously we cannot talk too much from the beginning about the well actually yeah the or we don't know who was going to be our android, and I really loved how they teased that because every alien movie there's always going to be a synthezoid, a synth in the group. Like we didn't know that in Aliens we knew, Bishop, and then Alien 3 it was only Bishop again, and then Alien Reconnection we got Winona Ryder's character, and obviously the prequel ones we got David and some of his duplicates played by Michael Fassbender. So I was curious who's going to be our synth, and I like that they tease us because you think it was this other one. I mean, this bold Chinese guy, and and I was like, especially the way he was looking at his one crew was sleeping in the cryo. I was like,
he's a sleep creeper. Yeah.
yeah, sleep creeper. I was like, my precious. I was like, dude, this is not the rain. I mean, first off, in the States, like chill, and I was like, oh my god, like already you're building up the horror suspense, which is good because I know people, like I know my friends in the alien community, I know everyone likes the aliens, the action packed, colonial marines, but I always love the like horror suspense of the first Alien movie. I mean, it's so creepy. I mean, when I see that first movie, it's like it still holds up. So I really appreciate that opening, really setting up the tone, and in general, like what Noah Hawley is going to do with the show. Like he's going to do like a lot of this weird imagery. Like I don't know, you've seen 28 Years Later. You kind of got that a little bit here with the flash, like the rapid flashes of the deaths of the crew, which we like. I like that. That's a really cool direction, and that doesn't bother me. That's right. I'm a 28 Years Later defender here. Anyway,
no, I love that movie.
oh, good. Thank you. Yeah. I was worried if you guys are not fans, but that's good to hear. And just confirming, I just as a fan, I just want to confirm the timeline. That was something I was like, what we're setting here, and so this timeline is before before Alien happens. So that's a good thing. So I'm very.
It's 2 years before Alien.
Right. Yeah, 2 years before Aliens. Thank you. Then after that, we get into our main protagonist, Wendy. This was very interesting, like seeing a hybrid of the human going into the synth. That was a really interesting idea to, like another thing I liked about this opening was you really felt like they're also doing Blade Runner and like the electric sheep, like the stories that inspire Blade Runner. If you've seen the other really stock movies, I like how they went even there to like put it into the alien. That essentially was a genius way, and I like the potential we're doing with this character. I guess the one nitpick I would have to say is that I don't know why Wayland wanted to travel and meet the engineers if he could have done this to save himself. If you've seen, Prometheus, I was like, wow, you're so dumb, Wayland.
That was the thing that like confused me because it's like,
yeah,
I love the ideas that they're going for with the cyborgs and the synthetics and then now the hybrids, but it's like it really does mess with the canon, especially because later on in Aliens, like it's 50 extra years that they've had to develop more technology. So I wonder where they're going to go, whether or not the cyborgs are going to get, or the hybrids are going to be written off at the end of this, or I don't know. Like,
I mean,
interesting. I like the concepts. It's just it's confusing to the lore. But then again, Aliens never been that
that serious but continuity.
Consistent.
Yeah. No. I understand where you're coming from. I think that's what's gonna happen. Or realistically, she's gonna maybe hide, for many years, and like no one knows about this like project. Like that always happens in stories. So overall, I was hooked. That's like very important. They hooked me on this part. I really like it. The special effects was really great. I thought it was. I mean, well, there's some shoddy things you could tell CGI, but like for a show like this, they did a really good bang up job of trying to make this look like a movie. One thing I appreciate, and this was where I was like, best show ever, is they brought back the Jerry Goldsmith music from the Alien original. That I appreciate that, and I like that from this in episode 2, not jumping too forward. I like that they used this as the theme for the show, so that was really great, and that made me happy as an Alien fan. So yes, overall the beginning was awesome. It hooked you into the show overall, like what was going to happen, and I appreciate we also not going to get like I'm also happy we're going to get more aliens, like different species. That besides the the famous xenomorphs, I'm happy to see more aliens, which is good because that was always been a problem with the alien film. It's like you want to see something new and you want to try to respect the xenomorphs. So I think this was a good balance of like showing us that okay, we have the facehuggers, but we also have these like very unique specimens from like other exotic worlds that they traveled from these last 65 years. So I appreciate that.
Okay, Cyber, it's good to see you, brother. We are talking about the episode 1 up until the point where Wendy transfers consciousness over into like her hybrid form or whatever, that's the cutoff. But let me go over to John real quick. John, what's your take on that section of the episode?
I mean, I think we kind of covered it a little bit already, but I think that establishing what's going to be different this time out, and that opening text right away, it laid out the cyborg, which is like an augmented person, a hybrid, which is a person whose consciousness has been put into a synth, and then a synth, which is what we know from all the other films. And what I like was, if that almost felt like, well, that's an odd thing to tell us at the very, very beginning, the way that they did it. But very quickly, you realize you're tracking what's going on. And we've got our cyborg character. We've got our Timothy Oliphant as our kind of traditional, like malevolent kind of synth character. And then we have the main character who's one of these hybrids. And it already is feeling like, oh, it's kind of a cool, I mean, especially right now with AI and everything being such a big topic, it's cool to have a show that, in addition to doing the alien thing and doing the xenomorph thing, and giving us very much guy in suit for the xenomorph, which I thought was really cool and kind of a throwback to the first one. Cool. But yes, we're also getting new creatures. It's kind of what you said already, that like we're getting a classic setup in a way, but we're also getting a different angle on it. And I liked the very beginning telling us, like, I don't know, it's the opening text at the beginning of the new Superman movie was the same way. It's like it's really kind of different than what you might expect, and then once you watch the movie, you totally get why they set it up that way. And I really liked the way this text did the same thing. It's like it gave you just the information you needed to know, and it's similar to what Andres was going into as far as like where does this fit into the timeline. We know that it's, I don't know, what is it after Covenant? It's about 16 or so years after Covenant and 2 years before Alien. So we're not, you're right, Danny, that we are breaking canon a little bit here, but we don't know yet. At the end of this show or at the end of this season, we might know they discontinued the cyborgs because they're too unpredictable, or maybe there are secret hybrids and we don't know that. I mean, there might be some reason why the canon breaking things in this don't feel that way at the end of this. But as far as staking out, like, what is Noah Hawley interested in dealing with? He's interested in dealing with these different types of synthetic beings, or non-human, or superhuman, or whatever they are. And he's also interested in giving us the idea that, well, the xenomorph isn't the only scary predator out there in space, that if it meets a human, it will kill them. So yeah, I thought that all of that stuff was cool and got set up really elegantly in that opening stretch. Again, it feels like the Alien franchise, but it also feels like a good television show, which means it's a little bit more, what's going on here? I'll wait and see than you would expect from a movie.
Okay. All right. Danny, same question.
Yeah. I mean, John, I like what you're saying about the whole, that what Noah Hawley's interested in. And I like that he's going in ways that aren't like the traditional, like what you would think, like he wants to see the differences between the cyborgs and the synthetics and the new hybrids. But we kind of jump right into, Wendy's going to be a cyborg or a hybrid. And they kind of don't have to, they just give us a little blurb about what a cyborg is. And obviously we know the synthetics. And I thought for a second we were going to deal with the whole, because there are hints to it. It's like, well, I am human. You're not human. What are you talking? Like, what are you? It's not exactly like she's having an existential crisis. She's just, I mean, maybe it's just because she has a child's brain, but the attention to detail of like, we just kind of hopscotch over that. We're just like, okay, so we don't have to waste our time with this kind of like I've seen this type of story in kind of character arc, and it's kind of coming down to, oh, like, you know, I am human, and like I'm glad we kind of like hopscotch there already, and we don't have to go through all that. And then but I do like the whole that we're thinking about the concepts of the different types of technology, and now dealing with these new kind of like, I don't know, spherical eyeball looking aliens on top of the xenomorphs adds a little extra flavor to the whole alien kind of vibe and universe. And you know, and then another thing is that they're adding like this kind of human storyline. Like a criticism I'm going to have for like the rest of the episode is, or the other two, or the other one, is that it's not exactly hooking me with like character development too much. Like the only thing they kind of very strongly hit is that the brother-sister connection, but everybody else is kind of still kind of a blank slate. And even the brother is still kind of like, he likes baseball and his dad and his sister. That's kind of all we really know about him. Wendy's kind of, you know, upholding of like kind of the mission of staying with Boy Cavalier and what he's all about, while also wanting to naively see her brother. That's an interesting character pull. So I have a feeling that the show is going to do a lot of conceptual building and trying to get down to the more philosophical stuff, which is what I loved about Prometheus and loved about Covenant, where they kind of go in like, what's next? What is the next evolution? And now we're kind of thinking more in terms of not evolution, but expansion of where we already are at with the synthetics and the different kind of flavors of that, and how that's all going to tie in. And I love the corporate politics that's all tied in with that. And so it's a very interesting, unique version of what I would expect this storyline to be on paper. But yeah.
All right. Cyber, from the beginning of the episode to the consciousness exchange, you know, scene or whatever, that's the ending.
All right. So I mean, this show starts off really strong. You know, gives us that brief blurb at the beginning about the synths and the cyborgs. And I feel like, you know, I was really surprised that it seems to be really focused on the robots in the Alien universe. And, you know, as we always know from the original Alien film, you know, Ash played a really big key role because he goes crazy and tries to kill them. And so I think that, you know, synths and cyborgs are something that have always been kind of a big deal in the Alien universe. So I was surprised that they were really kind of focusing really on that, giving us this whole new platform. They're giving us these cyborgs along with the synths and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then leading up to showing that they're taking alien children and transporting their consciousness into synths, I thought that was an interesting take too. I was like really surprised. I'm like, I don't think that's always been the lore, but Noah Hawley decided let's go this route, and I think it's it definitely an interesting route to see where it goes, because from the movies themselves, I really don't recall much about them talking about kind of how the synths come to be, like if they have consciousness of people before or anything like that. They always have just come about in their synths. That's what I've always noticed about them. So this beginning sequence really is very robot, I felt, laden, giving you that, example and, dealing with, having, this first transfer of consciousness of a human into a synth body, was definitely interesting. Then we get the interesting take on the ship, which is a Wayland ship, which, is great to see. I'm glad that they're keeping Wayland a part of the universe. But the whole conjecture of adding the other businesses that are a part of kind of like the monopoly of Earth is kind of an interesting take. And I think that definitely that helps expand the mythos of this, series. So I think that was really interesting too, as well. especially with them being, kind of the main antagonist throughout most of the Alien films. Of course, even in AVP, they were mentioned too as well. So I appreciated that they're taking it to a whole new level, which kept the show really interesting and kept you pulling in to want to watch it. So I thought it was a really successful beginning. I thought it was very interesting, seeing a cyborg for the first time. We have that one gentleman playing the cyborg and his one interesting hand that's cybernetic. And, of course, seeing that crew on the that ship, I forget the name of it already. But it totally made me think of this Nostromo. It totally made me think of Alien 1, especially how they all came out of the pods right at the beginning. They're all wearing the same gray clothing like we have seen in previous Alien films. And, even the characters all felt very reminiscent of the first original Alien film. Several of the characters, even, the character that's supposed to be kind of like the Ash character, the cyborg guy, he makes me think of, other characters that were in the original. It's interesting how they kept it very similar to Alien 1 a little bit there. I think that was homage, honestly, from Noah Hawley, and I think he did a great job there. So I think it's off to a really solid start here. I really enjoyed it, and it felt a little slow at first, but it definitely picked up and pulled me in as it went along. So I think it's a really strong start to this to the series.
Okay, Steve, but whatever thoughts you have, sir.
I think the main thing I want to add is just I early on in this episode, and it continues. I'm sure we'll bring it up as we go along. But the piece I want to add is simply that I really enjoyed all the Peter Pan references. I threw on my Tink 182 shirt for the podcast tonight. I don't know if you can see this. I'm a huge Peter Pan fan, so I like the framing or that kind of attempt to run that narrative through this property or this series, and even to the title cards that we're talking about, this idea of immortality and the race for it, and not the Boy Cavalier character having an island called Neverland, and Marcy's naming herself Wendy. The sky screen like opening up, playing Peter Pan. Like, I don't know. It's pretty heavy in that first third of this episode. But I think that idea, or Noah Hawley's attempt to kind of put that theme into this story is really kind of cool, because I think I was reading an interview with him where he was saying normally an alien movie is about will a human survive? And his idea for this show was more about will humanity survive? And that has to do with humanity as a whole, like maturing and doing things that are not easy to do. And I think we'll clearly follow that with these synthetic characters that are basically sick kids put into the hybrid characters that are sick kids put into these synthetics. But I just kind of wanted to plant that idea that early on I was kind of hooked with this idea of Peter Pan and Neverland and all those themes kind of already being introduced so early, that I'm sure that's going to I'm curious to see how that proceeds through the rest of the season.
Sick Kids Put It in Synthetic sounds like a band name.
Yeah.
Ron, it's your turn anyway, Ron.
Okay, yeah. So absolute cinema. I was very much enjoying it. Beautiful. I think that all the iconography, like all of the shots that we're familiar with, I wouldn't want to see an alien movie without the cryopods, the same way I wouldn't want to see Batman's mom and dad get shot in the face within the first 15 minutes of the movie. There's something about pearls going everywhere that just feels special. Just like blood,
confetti.
splatter. Yeah, just confetti. I don't know why they do that every time, but anyway, this feels like really special. I think you're right. There's things that feel very familiar and things that feel very different. We aren't going to talk about how beautiful Wendy is. We're going to just act like she's just an ugly person on the screen. Her head's a little too big for her body, but she has really huge eyes that I can't stop looking at. She kind of looks like the lady from the other Android movie where they found pieces and put her together. what's it called? Okay, I'm in the dark right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was another movie where a woman got put together. It's just like an android that got put together
Oh,
with
Alita
pieces
Battle
of
Angel?
Alita. Yeah, same
Oh, yeah,
sort
yeah.
of situation. But this is like a real person that looks like this. She has a really
So you mean the way they augmented her to almost look like
they
an anime
augmented
character?
her.
It just like
Yeah,
made
and
her
then
head and
her-
eyes bigger.
Well,
And then her face
that's
just
Kyle
looks like
Chandler's
this.
daughter, right? Playing the
yeah,
lead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sydney
and
Chandler.
Yeah, and then she just looks like that in real life. So anyway, very, very striking look to her. Morrow, this very cold character who's about his business and carrying out the deeds of Wayland Yutani. I think I'm really obsessed with his mission-based stuff right now. It's like he does not give a fuck who dies right now, and it feels very strange to watch him. Those people die mercilessly, and you know the plans that he seems to have. He's on a mission, and I want to see that mission carried out, and all the conflicts that will kind of come about within the couple episodes because of this mission seem really important. And you know that also follows the different breeds of aliens that we haven't seen before, and I'm wondering what they'll do to people's bodies. You know, like so far we've seen what some of this stuff can do, but you know, we obviously know that it could be like a massive massacre. But what do these aliens do once they start inhabiting people's bodies? I think it's an exciting start. Feels a little familiar, and then we get a little bit of change. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Okay. All right. So, essentially, adjusting to her new body with the assistance of synthetic mentor Kirsch, Wendy oversees several other children who undergo the procedure, the consciousness, swapping procedure or whatever. A malfunction compromises the Magano's navigation, placing it on a collision course with Earth. And those scenes were awesome. The synthetic captain or whatever the fuck that is or whatever from the show, that is a great character. And those scenes with him create like using his hand to create like tools like like that, you know?
Yeah.
That was a really cool little addition to his character. I like that. He can generate a blade, a torch, all kinds of cool shit. So essentially, some specimens get loose and a grown xenomorph kills most of the crew. It crashes into a tower in Prodigy City, New Sam, where Wendy's human brother, Joe Hermit, works as a medic and corporate soldier. So I will, again, stop there. And I will go back to you, Cyber, first. What are your thoughts, sir, on that next section that I just read to you guys?
Okay. I'm sorry, I missed the end point.
The end point is when the ship crashes into Prodigy City.
Okay. So yeah, so I mean, this section here, we see the extra development of putting more children into the synth bodies at this point. We see kind of the development of the first main girl, kind of learning her new body and everything. We see her, fall down off a cliff and land fine in her new synth body. We get to see some stuff with Timothy Olympet, which is interesting because Timothy Olympet, one thing about him, he always,
Oliphant.
I call Olympet. I don't care if it's Oliphant. I call him Olympet. Anyways, so Timothy is he's always one of those actors that he's very straight faced all the time. So him playing a synth character is totally, I think, up his alley. And there's like no expression on his face. And I think that he does it perfectly. He plays that character to the T. It's I feel it's similar to how, Ian Holm played it, Ash, at first. And I think that he was a good choice to play kind of that mentor, character that he's supposed to be playing. And but seeing him with the really white kind of grayish hair, he looks so old. It cracks me up. Like it's like they're trying to make a synth look super old. Okay. So I think that he's been playing a great part throughout this portion of the episode too as well. But we get kind of a little bit of a thought process of what's going on the ship again too before it starts to crash into Prodigy, and that whole portion is so much fun. I love seeing the ship like start to descend and start crashing into things and stuff like that was really cool. And then of course we see the cyborg guy deciding to like he's doing all these things with Mother and stuff like that, and you're just kind of like, are we having another Ash situation here? Like what's going on? And he's apparently he's following some sort of orders or something like that from Wayland, and basically he's purposely trying to crash that ship into Earth so that the creatures can get let loose. And that's Wayland to the T, and totally what I feel is kind of what the Alien whole storyline has been, from Alien 1 through up through Alien Covenant. It's always about trying to use the aliens in some sort of way to see what they do and how they can use them, basically to be the number one, person, or own the people, or whatever you want to call it. And I definitely think that we get a good kind of idea here that Wayland's still kind of that evil entity that's like this this evil bad guy in the background that we've seen all these years. And I think that's great that they're keeping that kind of mythos going and all that kind of stuff, which is great. But that whole crash sequence is really done well. I love it. I think it looks awesome. I think that the graphics on this show are done really well. The special effects look really good. The look of everything is done really fun. And I think that even the Xenomorph itself looks pretty badass too. I honestly don't know if it's a guy in a costume or if it's a robot or what it is, or a puppet. But I think that it looks visually really good. I mean, you can definitely see that they did some differences with it for the TV show. It definitely looks a little different in the face area. And I don't know if they were trying to differentiate it from the films, but definitely it looks a little different. But overall, I think that it looks really great. And I think that it has a lot of great potential to see further into the series. But yeah, I think this is a decent section. I think it's, interesting what they're doing. I think that this company, that Prodigy's kind of the head of this, group of putting consciousness into the synths. That is definitely a very interesting side story that'll be interesting to see where it goes and see where it kind of pivots to and see if that leads into them and kind of what happens with that in kind of their conquest and war. Because if they're following this mythos of the Alien franchise at all, we all have seen in later films, which, this is supposed to be before Aliens, and Alien 3 and Resurrection, Wayland's still the top dog in those films. So definitely Wayland kind of wins the war here. So the kind of, people, you already know what happens with kind of this, grouping. But it'll be interesting to see just what they do with this series and how they kind of either follow that or go in a different path to give you a different storyline. So I think they're off to a really good start and a good section.
All right, Ron, go ahead, man.
You're muted.
Sorry, what part did it end on again? I'm
when the ship crashes.
When the ship has. Like Cyber was saying, these shots look insane, man. The fact that we're treated to this on TV and not a movie, and we're gonna have this for a couple more weeks, just feels like a treat. The tension's building. To see the impact of the ship and what it does to this little section of Earth that it hits is insane. Like, it really gives you an idea of the scale of it. I think that's one thing that I was kind of worried about. I was like, how big is this ship, and will it show on the screen? And you really, it's devastating. It is the equivalent of like, a meteorite hitting a town or something. But I like the build up. I like where it's going. I'm super excited at this point, and I'm half chub, if I'm being super honest.
Nice. It's a good place to be.
I was going to ask you if you were yet.
Oh yeah.
confirming.
Definitely.
All right. So, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the section of this I'll probably focus on is just Wendy, kind of the sequence with Wendy helping the other children. You know, the way that Boy Cavalier and Kirsch specifically kind of help or encourage her to oversee the other kids who undergo this same procedure that she went through recently. So that sequence kind of showing one after another, like the camera moving around, and you kind of see their group of lost boys growing with every kind of circular pan of the camera in that sequence was really cool. And I think kind of her accepting that maternal role amongst those kids who are now hybrids was again a cool way to kind of dig that theme in a little more. Also, you have a couple pretty awesome needle drops during this episode, but there's during that sequence we get something fun. And I also think like the little bit of time that you get with Joe before what happens in New Siam happens, like with the crash, like he's with the group of soldiers or whatever they are, and they're kind of checking in on him, and there's obviously you're learning a little bit about him trying to get out of doing this to pursue something else but being denied. So there's that kind of similar theme that we even again most recently got in Romulus, these people trying to get out of something, and they're basically being restrained and they have to continue, and they're kind of being forced to stay on this path that will eventually force them to cross paths with a xenomorph. Like literally he's like one of the first one that crosses the path with it in the ship. But overall this section was really, I thought, a really well paced piece of the episode. And I think just overall, like a feeling for this episode and this show so far, these, and it kind of is coalescing or kind of consolidating as the show moves along. Being able to be in these different set pieces, being in Neverland Island, being on the Maginot, being, where Joe was, like being able to be with these different people in different settings, I think is really cool. And you can kind of see how these are going to collide here. And this is kind of where we start to see that when this ship crashes in the city. I wanted to just ask a question. I don't know if it was Cyber, someone mentioned it. Is the thought that Moreau like intentionally crashed this ship? Because I didn't feel that way personally.
I'm not sure anybody said that for sure, but I can't remember.
Okay, I thought someone said that like the cyborg was like kind of intentionally crashing this ship, because I didn't get that vibe at all. But it seemed like something went wrong. And
yeah, like there's the shot before like that the xenomorph's out on the ship.
Yeah,
it's the like there's like a girl that's like looking at the specimens.
Yeah.
And then I have a feeling that Morrow's like mission was to get it to Earth, but obviously why would he crash land it in, like why would he crash it first of all, and then why would he crash it and directly into competitor's island?
Right, that's the key, is that we know in the beginning that they said they're coming to the end of this 65-year thing, and they're going to Earth. That's where they're going, someplace for Weyland-Yutani. Like this ship is going to them, not to Prodigy Land. So it's like something specific. Clearly, it's the specimens got out or the xenomorph got out. Something went wrong, and this crew that we met very briefly in the beginning section of the show, episode, they're just all gone. Like everybody you thought you might get to know in this series is gone, except for Moreau. And yeah, I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay, Danny.
Yeah. So I like the like that. Yeah, the sequence. Steve, what you bring up about the Peter Pan stuff, I think is really interesting, because I did notice that like obviously like they're looking at the screen and it's playing Peter Pan, but I didn't put two and two together with Wendy and how like the kid Boy Cavalier is like that's like his favorite, like that's all about him and stuff. And what you're saying about the whole like theme of the show, and like I forgot who said about humanity learning. It sounds like they're not going to learn because that would imply growing up, and they're not gonna if Peter Pan's the whole Neverland thing, and so I think that might be kind of foreshadowing what's going to happen. The Boy Cavalier's going to make the wrong decision because I have a feeling he'll kind of get his hands on what's going on here, because that's he's like, I want whatever's on that ship.
Yeah.
With the whole crew getting destroyed thing, I thought maybe I'm the only one who felt like this, but like the scene where the girl's like slamming on the glass, and she's just kind of like real nonchalant about it. She's like, Mara, open up. Like, it's going to get me. Like, alien's right here. It's going to come. He's like, and then he just like turns around and just burns the
like, not today.
These are the side eyes, like, bitch. So she's like, yo, what the hell? And then obviously she gets eaten and stuff. So I thought that was really cool. And then, but I'm confused that is Morrow, he's just a cyborg, and a cyborg is a human with synthetic upgrades, right?
Yeah, like
yes.
Yeah.
It's like Cyborg from Justice League. It's like
right.
that.
Okay. So what I'm coming to understand though is that he's not obviously not a robot, but he's kind of figured out the hack to not be eaten by a xenomorph. He's just like don't show fear. It's like a Freddy Krueger type thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, I just love how he's just like shitting his pants when the xenomorph like drools on him, like right as it like closes, like the door to like the little like in the hole hatch thing. And at first I thought it was like, oh shit, is that like the acid and stuff? And I'm thinking like, well, it doesn't matter because the ship's gonna crash anyway. But it turns out it's just drool. So I thought that was fun. But yeah, watching the damage that it does to this whole city is just like, well, I guess hundreds of people are dead. It's like 29/11 just right there. And then so
thousands of people probably dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a catastrophic crash.
Yeah.
Imagine all of Chicago is just gone. And then but yeah, like I like the whole, especially the cinematic aspect of it is like beautiful, like Roland Emmerich could never. And then so real good stuff that's going on there. And and the whole idea of Joe being trapped in Earth, like, or in this contract, just like you're saying with the Romulus and stuff, like that was the most compelling part of that. Adding that bit of character development is really helping out with the lack of character development overall, because I really only know Joe and Wendy, and Kirsch has like a little bit of a he draws my eye, but I think it just might be Timothy Oliphant. So, but yeah, I'm interested to see what's going to be happening later on, especially after what we see in the hotel that's attached to it, but that's in the later part.
Okay. Andres.
Yeah. So this second half continues very well. Like, you're getting a lot of like sci-fi, heavy things that I was not expecting for the Alien like show. But I mean, that's the course of the Alien theme. Like, of course, I was not expecting. Like, of course, we're gonna deal with corporate, like themes. I mean, like, since the first Alien movie, with Wayland, Tiny, like corporation business and the ethical of it, has always been the theme for Alien. Like, even the recent Romulus, they still like hand down the themes of like how bad the business is, and how they take advantage of people, the workers, and you're seeing right there, like, the corporation are still as bad. But I always wonder, like, what other corporation besides Tiny were in Earth, so it's really cool to see see another company, besides Wayland, from the previous movies. It's good to see another company, what they're doing, and like how, like, are there as bad as Wayland, and like what they're trying to do, and I'm even curious about the kid, like, wanting these aliens. It's like, what do you want to control these aliens? Like, they're monsters. You cannot control them. Despite advanced technology, but I'm very curious about it, and it's cool to see like another rival company against Wayland, and see, who will win. With this, try to get the specimens out from that ship. One thing I forgot to mention, and this is something that's it's been teased before. Well, technically, Fox lied to us in Alien 3. Like the idea of being on Earth and seeing the Seymours here, that's something that's never been touched before in the movies, and I really like we're finally doing that. Like, I always hate the idea that these films never gone to Earth and see how the Seymours get interact with Earth, and because that's something you have to do eventually. Like you can't always do the same thing with the ships, or like in Romulus. I like how they did it with the space station, but so here I'm very curious. I mean, we're still in the spaceship, unfortunately. When we get to the towers. But yeah, so I really like we're spending a bit more time on Earth. How Earth is in the future, that was something I get there were highly events because we're in the future, but I'm like how society is working on Earth. Like we've seen how the colonist people always operate, from aliens or really Romulus. We saw a bit of that with the Mayan people, with our protagonists over there. Here it was really cool to see how Earth is in the future, and how they're being controlled by the corporation, as this show has, or this episode has kind of confirmed that, with Wayland and these other corporations I think brought up, but I don't know. But yeah, and the I just talking with you guys, I totally didn't know that the guy in the ship was a cyborg until I was like, oh yeah, because the arm told me, like, when I see something like that's cybernetic, I'm like, okay, it's a robot, but same. But I was like, oh no, especially kind of in next episode, it was like funny how he got scared with the xenomorph in next episode. I was like, oh, that makes sense now that he is a cyborg, and I'm very curious about this character. Like he could be this like rugged human that's like has been in this harsh reality of like the business taking over the Earth, and like he's the cynical person. It's just doing the bottom line, for the business to get this property of specimens, to Earth and to Wayland. Like we don't know like how his background is going to be revealed. So I'm very curious how he's going to react to the the hybrids synths, and then of course Tiffany's character as well, who is a full-on synth. So I'm very intrigued about the character. I do agree with Danny about the characters. I think so far as Maro, Wendy, and her brother are the three that I'm very attached to, because they have the human. Well, first off, the two characters are human connection. I buy their relatability and like what they're going through, and I'm like, especially Wendy, like she's our eyes view. Like, okay, she's kid, but like she's getting this opportunity to live again, and that's the theme of immortality that Noah Hawley is expanding on. And then obviously Maro, he's this guy who's half cybernetic, is interesting, and like what's his stick, why he's doing this, and why he let his people die. And I do agree with you, Danny. That girl was like not trying to like save her life. It's like, please help me. There's an alien back of me. It's like, girl, like just scream out loud or go somewhere else to be safe. Okay, like why why this one room? Go to other rooms in the ship. That's big enough.
I love how slowly he's just.
He's like, oh, I'm just locking this door completely, By the way, his escape, or not, his panic room was so cool. I was like, is he escaping for a pod? And no, this is an escape room. And man, the xenomorph, I mean, we take for granted. The xenomorphs are so strong. Like the fact that like first off, banging in the head of the window, that was like, whoa, creepy, and like trying to open the door. I mean, we forget these creatures are smart, like that's why aliens, they literally took down the Marines, And I like the design. It's I mean, it's very like it's the original like H.G. Ager design from the original. You know, they don't. I mean, from the Alien franchise, like whenever host they affected, it reflects on the host that they affected. You know, obviously, when they affect the humans, they have the human autonomy, but when they take other forms, like in Alien 3 or in the director's cut, they take the form of the aminos, and of course the bad AVP. If we have to bring that up, like of course it takes the predator look and all that. Yada. So bad movies. But yeah, that crash was awesome. I was not expecting that. Like that was really cool. Good way to like build up the suspense and the world building. I really like the brother because he's from I don't know if you guys seen the one episode for him, the Shut Up and Dance from Black Mirror. He's a really good actor. I mean, and Endor, he's from.
Yeah,
he's Nemec.
Yeah, Mick. Yeah, and he's really good, and so I'm very happy he's here. And I feel like he has that like everyday man kind of vibe. Like he's like a person that like is like all of us, and I think it's good that he's here to really ground the show. Yeah, I agree with Denny. I'm a little concerned about the kids. The other kids that are the synths, like I like the idea of we're getting more, but like I don't know about having them to be still like child like. That's a little worried thing for me in terms of that. But we get a couple humor themes with these characters. But overall, I like this section. It's really good. It's really building up the tense. When you get to the final act of this episode, is where we really get the horror vibes, which is great. So that's my thoughts on the second act. It's really good.
Okay, John, wrap us up on this, please.
I'm going to back clean up on a question we were talking about a second ago, but just because I was thinking about why Wayland would do what he did in Prometheus, even if we see the technology that we see in this movie. And I think it gets into that question of if your consciousness, if it's transferred, is it really you anymore? And I feel like Wayland is the kind of narcissist who would probably say, I want to live forever. I don't want some simulacrum of my personality to be living on in a synth, which I kind of feel like we still don't know how much of what's being transferred there. Is it just uploading all the data and then it's going into this synth and it's becoming somebody, or is there actually some almost supernatural process that's happening there? It's actually very vague, the little light table that they're doing it on. So I believe in Marvel Comics terms, I just earned a no prize. That's what they would send to you if you wrote in to explain a mistake they had made in a way that worked in the story. So I think that's my attempt at getting a no prize for Wayland, why he does what he does in Prometheus. I guess I'll just say, you guys have all pretty much covered what I would say. I did like in an Alien movie, we get a little bit of a character. Like the xenomorph is always a little bit different, maybe in terms of how it moves or what it does or how it looks. And I think this xenomorph, you mentioned the budding of the head. I feel like we got like almost like character development of the xenomorph in that moment of like, this fucker is serious and he's going to keep coming. And there's almost like more of a personality there, like a relentlessness to that. And I don't know if I quite understand. I don't want to get too far ahead. I don't know if I quite understand the choices the xenomorph makes as to why some people don't get killed immediately and why others do. But I do think this idea of showing fear or of maybe being less important to the plot can get you killed by the xenomorph. But no, I liked the way this set up both the idea that the xenomorph was formidable and also that Morrow has this mission mentality of, okay, shit has gone wrong. And you see that he kind of briefly considers saving the woman. And then he kind of does the math of like, no, types in crew dead, welds the door shut. And then, actually, honestly, Steve, you hit on this. We met this crew that's really a throwback to the original Alien crew. And then we get them immediately dismantled, including, the Jonesy, the cat that's a different sort of fate for this cat. So I do think this was their way of saying this is not what you've seen before, but we're going to remind you of maybe your favorite things about that. And I'm a little curious how much more we might get with that crew. Like if an episode in the future of the season might flash back to a little bit more detail, because I do believe there is something else going on. These questions we have about Morrow and his mission and what's motivating him, I don't think it's necessarily just as simple as, oh, they went out to get all these predatory animals and then something went wrong. I think there's also some kind of corporate espionage or something happening on the ship, or I just believe we were going to get more with those characters, because if you know, some of those actors are actors from Fargo that we've seen before, and that Noah Hawley either brought in to kill very quickly or brought in to give a little bit more too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe seeing a little bit more filled in on that story of exactly what went wrong on the ship. But this was a cool kind of jump ahead and tease, really, frankly, to get the show caught up to what we knew from the trailers, which is that this ship full of predators was going to crash in the middle of a city. So,
okay, thank you, John. All right, so CEO Bob Cavalier asserts the Magano's contents now belong to Prodigy and deploys Kirsch, Wendy, and the other hybrids to assist with search and rescue to test their enhanced capabilities. Security Officer Murrow, who survived the crash in the reinforced panic room, moves to protect the cargo and detains 2 Prodigy soldiers who are killed by a leech-like specimen. Wendy remarks to Kirsch that she wants to save her brother from death. And that is the end of episode 1. So I mean, like I said, there's stuff in there that happened that it doesn't mention, obviously, but like, you know, like the initial search and rescue team that goes in and like all their activities, you know. But I will go back to you, John, and you can start off. What are your thoughts on that last section of episode 1?
What exactly? How does it pick up from there? I guess I'm trying to see what happens.
There's the search and rescue operation.
Okay.
After the ship crashes, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, it shows the back to the island, you know, with, you know, the decision to send the hybrids to do search and rescue as well. Then they take off to go actually do it.
Right. I'm just checking to make sure. Okay. Yeah. So we also get Morrow detaining the 2 soldiers who then we meet the leech creature that becomes like a bag of blood, very grotesquely. And then we see the kind of connection to the brother kind of reinstated there. I guess, you know, I couldn't tell. I knew there was a second episode coming. I couldn't tell if this felt like the end of an episode that would have left me going, oh, I was so satisfied by where that ended, if I didn't have part 2 coming. And I wonder sometimes when they do these 2 or 3 episode premieres, if they know they need to give you a little bit more story juice to get you to that point where now you're going to be like totally on the hook. But I do think this episode comes pretty close to setting up everything that we need to know. But we haven't seen like the brother and the sister together yet. So it's almost hard to judge the last part of this as the end of an episode, because I knew after a commercial break I was going to get more. But no, I think that it just kind of continues from what we had already seen. Like the storyline, it's like we start to see how this is either going to be a storyline that's just going to keep spiraling out from this, or I don't know if the timeline is going to be decompressed to the point where we might be spending time in the aftermath of this crash for eight episodes, or, you know, 6 more episodes after these 2. But I do think this cinched that idea that Wendy and her search for her brother is, at least for the moment, it's the most important part of the story. It's the most important emotional through line. And also, again, we know that Morrow is, you know, he's motivated by something that we don't quite understand yet. I still don't even quite understand why he didn't just kill those guys instead of leaving them there. You know, there's so many questions about exactly what's going on there that I can't even begin to say, like, how they're pulling it off, because I don't think we've seen anything close to the whole story.
Well, I think even at that point, like, you start to see this question of, is he actually killing any people?
Right, you're right.
He's not. He's letting other things do it. So, you know, he ties the soldiers up and leaves them, knowing that there's a specimen that's going to ultimately, but it's like not his doing. And I think that might be a part of his mission too.
Yeah,
I think that might be because he's not just fully a cyborg, or not. I keep saying cyborg. He's not a synthetic. Like, he's not he's still human, right? So he still has that. We need to preserve human life. I don't understand why he didn't just, like, well, I don't know, disarm, leave their knives with them. You know, like, give them enough, you know, tie them up, but give them enough time to get away, for him to get away too. Kind of seemed like, well, what the fuck, dude? Like, you saved my life so I can die slowly? Okay, cool.
To be fair, though, he's in enemy territory. You know, he's not in Wayland, so he's in this other corporate, like, island. So like, why I want these people to like take me and like be questioned, like why this this ship landing here and why you have these like these species. So like I think he did the most like sense as like a Wayland employee to do. I agree about like the weapons, but like I mean,
I wonder if he's gonna be smart and then like take one of like the search and rescue like uniforms or something and try to escape.
Yeah, that's true. But he's too cocky. That's the thing. He's just like Burke from Aliens, where he thinks he's invincible because he has the one arm thing. That's the thing about him. He's being very cocky because he thinks he has this technology, and it's like, no, dude, you're half human. You're gonna be killed. I think that's.
I want to know if he's like a company man, like if he's like, because he's very much about the mission, and like the whole reason they had a synthetic do it in the first one was because it had no feeling and it was only going to do the corporate company mission. This guy's human, so he knows what he's doing, and he's obviously trying to save as many lives as he can, and reasonable. But at the same time, like he's still going to do the mission. But so I just wonder, like, does he have some sort of like, does he get stock options or something because of this? Like,
Right.
Okay. All right. Let me go to Andres. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. The third part was decent. I think it just kind of leaves you in this like not like exciting thing, but more of like, okay, we're now going to like the main like setup and plot moving forward to this series, and that's fine. I mean, I think that's always like it's always tough to end your first episode, and I think this one was decent. Like we know the stakes for our characters, particularly Wendy. She wants to save her brother. I'm like, okay, I understand that. Having our Kirsch there being our synth is like a little worried. Like his speech about, about death and how everyone will eventually die by either someone else or disease. All that, like that speech was really good, and I like how Wendy, who is kind of like our Lucy from the Fallout, like initially is going to be this optimistic character, and I am curious with these horrific things like the city morphs and all this and the corporate, spy and stuff like that. Like, is that going to affect Wendy and make her have this pessimistic worldview towards the end of the series? That could be very interesting. That she would go into this more, not optimistic view as a, this is where she becomes a adult. This is this it's almost like a coming age for her to like really become a adult because she is facing these now horrors that she's not like. I mean, first off, should not go. Like, first off, I was surprised the being leader say, I'll let you go here. And it's like, what? She's a child. I don't care that she's a synth. Like that's literally gonna scar her psychologically. And I'm just, and I am very curious, like what he wants to see about their capabilities, against these species. So so I thought the ending was good. I mean, the fact that Morrow trapped the two soldiers in the lab was creepy. I mean, it was I hate bugs. I really hate that leech like was a bug, and then like it sap up your blood and it gets fat. I was like, what the hell? I was like, oh my god, this is. Oh god, I don't need that. Oh my god, and of course his his pal, of course is like, ugh, I have to scream and die like this. It's like, oh okay, but yeah, I think this was a good end. I nothing else to say that it was a negative. I think everything was just top notch. The one thing that was a nitpick was just the way we ended with our music, like. Every show has end music, from like licensed music, and I feel like this in episode 2 had this problem where it was weird how they like dropped their music with these licensed music. I hope they get better when we're moving forward.
I like that Tool song that they played at the end of episode.
Yeah, I maybe it was just editing or something like that. Like I But it's a stylistic thing, which I'll be fine with if it's just the way Noah Hawley wants to like pace the editing and all that. But yeah, the music was great. I actually like the song you were bringing up, Jeff, towards the end. It was really good.
It's like action movie endings almost.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I really appreciate this first episode a lot. That's it.
Okay, Ron, you with us?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead, sir.
I like the build up. There's some tension building. Shit's crashed. Aliens are afoot. I mean, come on, man. Like I'm at the point now where Half Chubb has moved up a little bit. Let's get a little into the dangerous territory. Like I could make somebody pregnant at this point. So I'm really bugging out. I'm scared. These aliens are going haywire, and it's cool because we only get cinematic looks at these aliens, right? And think about the last thing we had was Alien Romulus on a Predator, and we got Prey, which was fucking fantastic. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but it was really fantastic. So to get these like long glimpses at these redesigned aliens was cool. The motherfucker has more platinum teeth than a rapper. It's a little crazy, but I enjoyed that. I enjoyed these designs, like these design choices that just kind of made like it almost looked. It was weird. Like at first, I thought it was all 3D printed. It kind of looked 3D printed, but then when it would shift, there was more dimension to it, more moisture to it, and you realize that this design's a little more complicated than you think. I think that's one thing that I'm a little like fixated on right now. The fact that we're getting TV aliens that look like they're from the most expensive version of an alien movie that we've ever seen in our lives. And it's active and it feels real and lived in. It doesn't feel like set pieces that don't feel dynamic. Like I think that's what my brain is kind of obsessed with in this first episode. And then I kind of calmed down in the second episode. But the first episode, I think the main thing is the set pieces. The aliens look so good. I like the feel of the characters. Like I kind of get what Andres was saying about, not feeling necessarily attached to every character, but there are a couple people like Morrow, Wendy, her brother. You do feel connected in the way that trying to figure out some of these people's motives. Because I think Wendy has a little more motivation than just meeting with her brother. Like it feels like once she meets him, is there going to be anarchy? What if she's like meets with him and it's like, I have an idea, destroy this whole system. Fuck it. Like I don't know. I don't like it. I know it feels like it's just about her brother, but like there's something under the surface of it feels like if whatever he says, if he feels like this situation's a little like uncomfortable for him, or just the inner workings of what the boy genius is trying to create. By the way, why the fuck are we calling this kid a boy genius? We let him talk for like 5 minutes. You're like,
he's like,
so he wants to talk to somebody smart as you. Okay, all right. So it's a little weird, but it doesn't feel earned. But there's something about the way that this dynamic's building between the sister and the brother that I'm really wondering if he says something a little different outside of corporate speak and following, what her boss says. Will she follow along with him? I got some questions. So that's kind of what built up in my head as the second episode ends. I mean, the first episode ends. Sorry.
Okay, Steve, go ahead, sir.
I guess I'll just focus on the very end. I kind of want to just I loved how the episode ended. I loved the the conversation where Wendy's basically convincing to send her and the Lost Boys, which in the next episode we actually see their names are all of the Lost Boys' names, which is again this Peter Pan thing. But
Smee,
yeah, Smee, Toodles, whatever. But yeah, I just really dug the way the show ends. It kind of differentiate her from maybe how they expected her to be. Like she's got a little more attitude and a little more confidence, even as this child in this hybrid situation that she is. But I thought the episode ending, with the dialogue, she says like, "I'm going to save him," and then it cuts right to the Mob Rules song from Black Sabbath. I actually dug the needle drop. I just thought it kind of just speaks to that character. And there's also I looked it up real quick. The two lines of lyrics that kicks that song off is "Close the city and tell the people that something's coming to call. Death and darkness are rushing forward to take a bite from the wall." So I mean, that's pretty literal, I think, of what's coming to New Siam, and kind of maybe what this group of Wendy and her lost boys are about to come and face. But yeah, this episode on the whole was, I thought, incredible. Like, I thought the cinematic stuff, I was into the characters. Again, I like the differentiation of getting these cyborgs and synths and hybrids. That Skrull at the beginning of the episode kind of comes full circle, and you start to question, what this hybrid is actually capable of, and you start to get these instances where she seems a bit more special, even beyond what, Boy Cavalier maybe thought she could do. There's questions about like what she's doing when she touches the screen and reprogramming, what a robot says to her brother through a video feed. So I like this stuff about, who this character is right now at the end of the episode. And what we're going to see more of her, just focusing on that character of Wendy. And I think Noah Hawley kind of having these needle drops, which he does seem to like, starts pretty early at the end of this episode with, I think, a pretty good one.
Cyber.
All right, so the ending of this episode is pretty action packed. I mean, we have the whole situation with the cyborg and him kind of escaping the little crash pod that he was in after the ship crash lands. And of course, we have him tie up a couple guys, and they get taken out by the other creatures that are on board, as we have mentioned. We see the xenomorph and him take out that chick that was behind the door, of course, too, before the spacecraft crashed too as well. And I think that, it's a pretty solid ending. I mean, I think it leads into the next episode very decently. I mean, is it a greatest ending? Definitely not. It definitely it could have left you kind of, scratching your head type of thinking, as has been mentioned before, because it didn't really like end on like kind of like a spot that I would feel would be like an ending. So I have to say that I was a little surprised, but because they put out 2 episodes together, I think that's why it felt like that. I don't think if they knew that they were only going to put out 1 episode on, yesterday, I think they probably would have had it a little differently ended. But definitely you're like, oh, I hope the next episode comes quickly, because it kind of does kind of fall on a cliffhanger a little bit. And, but I think that the whole situation is just kind of interesting how people are just like, okay, a spaceship just crash landed into a building. No big deal. Because it's like, it seems to only be these, the 2 groups that are really interested in that this spaceship just crashed. And I think that, that whole situation is definitely kind of interesting, but I think it's a solid ending. I think we get a lot of great creature feature looks here. I think that, the creatures look really, really well. And I think overall it's a decent ending to the first episode.
All right, Danny, take us out on episode 1.
Yeah, I mean, what John was saying though, like, I liked how it ended, but I don't think it would have, if it just released as just the single episode. I'm not sure if it would have intrigued me to watch next week, just because it kind of felt like, oh, I guess the episode's over. Not like it wasn't bad or anything. It was just more of like, didn't feel like it hit a climax to the episode. It was kind of like, and then we go, and then they go to the thing. But knowing that we're going to get more of the action in episode 2, it kind of hooked me. Be like, okay, well, I guess I can watch it. And I think that's what a lot of these shows nowadays do. Like that's why Andor, like the first season, dropped 3 episodes at once, and then they kind of learned that lesson of like, oh, well, I guess we can just do 3 episode arcs every week, and like that kind of worked well for them. With this, I felt much like, oh, we don't have quite enough material in episode 1. We have so much to come through with.
Just to be clear, Andor was written and designed to be in 3 episode installments anyway. Like
Yeah,
you know, like
2. But the first season was just 3 episodes dropped at once, and then I think it was week to week after.
Oh yeah, that's how they started the show. I think they did drop the first 3 episodes for Andor season 1. I think you're right.
Yeah, and then there's not exactly convenient 3 episode arcs after that, except for maybe the next two or 3 episodes after that. But yeah, for this show though, it felt just like there wasn't enough or a convenient place to wrap it up in episode 1, and it felt like an extended, basically just like, oh, let's start off the show with a movie, and because it's a TV show, we need to split it in half, and this is like kind of like the midpoint ish. I thought it was interesting to see Boy Cavalier. Maybe that's why his name is Cavalier, because he's like, okay, we'll send out my expensive new hybrid people. That'll cost me billions of dollars if even one of them, goes missing. So he's not as protective of his, not only his technology, but maybe even his IP. Like, what happens if, not like he would be expecting this, but what if like Morrow takes one of the hybrids because this is new technology, right? Like,
one would even say that he was cavalier about it.
Ooh. So, yeah, like I wonder like what would happen if he like it was an interesting bit of character development, and maybe it's because if the Peter Pan thing is the kind of like the theme that seems to be going on, maybe he's Peter, or I don't know, maybe it's some sort of thing with maybe the Xenomorphs Peter somehow. I don't know.
No, yeah, he's definitely Peter. I mean, in Peter Pan, Peter is called Boy by Wendy.
Oh, okay.
He's named himself Boy Cavalier, and I have Neverland Island. Yeah, no, for sure, he's Boy. He's Peter.
So I wonder what they're going for with the whole Peter Pan thing, because it's very you're bringing up a lot of stuff. It's so prevalent, but then also kind of in the background where like, I guess that's what good subtext is supposed to be, where it's like I'm like discovering all of it like as I'm talking about it right now. So, but yeah, I think the episode ended well. I like the needle drop. I'm actually kind of surprised that maybe I mean the episode the song works a lot better with like literally explaining basically what's coming to Earth. But also like I'm actually kind of surprised that if they're gonna go with a Black Sabbath song, they didn't go with like an Ozzy song because of recent events. So I don't know, but yeah, I like the needle drop. I liked where we're headed, and the second episode is definitely a lot better to me than the first episode. But we got a lot to wrap up.
Speaking of which, give me your 1 through 10 rating on episode 1 real quick, Danny.
Yeah, I give this a solid like 7.5. I don't think it stands that well on its own, but it's a very good entry point into the concepts and themes that I assume we're gonna follow through with. I trust Noah Hawley since he's done Fargo and Legion, so I don't know him to drop a storyline like that. So I have faith.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 10. John, give me your rating.
You're muted.
Mute it.
No, I was just talking really quietly. No, no, I'm going to. Sometimes I practice moving my mouth silently before I speak. No, I was going to say, I think a 9 is where I put it. I think that if it were a 10 for me, it would have needed that extra little whatever completeness of just feeling like this was a great episode of television. But as a start for a mini series or a start for a story, I thought it was better, way better than solid, and right in line with how I hoped it would be. So a 9.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, I'm going to go 9 as well.
Ron. You're muted, Ron.
We all practice moving our mouths on Movie Schmovie. That's just kind of a thing we do.
Oh, I was gonna give this oh man. Now because you didn't hear the number that I said before, I can backtrack it. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Okay.
I was gonna get it at 8.5. That was muted, and then I unmuted it 9 for
All
sure.
right. Cyber.
I'll give it a 9 as well.
Okay. All right. And Andre's dropped out on us for a minute, so obviously he'll be back. But all right, episode 2, Mr. October, directed by Dana Gonzalez, written by Noah Hawley. Cavalier tells his colleague, Dame Sylvia, that he formed the hybrid project to compete with artificial intelligence, and has granted Wendy additional abilities as he wishes to create a person smarter than him. He declines Weyland Yutani's request to secure the Magino's proprietary contents, warning any incursion on his territory will be considered a hostile act. Hermit is chased by a xenomorph and separated from his colleagues. And it tracks him to the higher floors of the tower, killing another soldier and massacring an apartment of wealthy residents who refuse to evacuate. He is saved by Murrow, who tasers him and the xenomorph. But it gets out of its bag, thing that was really cool, and regains consciousness and escapes after killing numerous other soldiers, sparing Moreau. I'll stop there. That's like basically half the episode right there. So I'll break this one into 2 halves, essentially. And Cyber, I'll start with you on this one, sir. Go ahead.
So we're the first half of the episode is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Good God. I mean, this episode definitely starts off, interesting. We definitely get a lot more of the main girl's brother. We see that, he is working for Prodigy as a medic, and we see her spying on him and all that kind of stuff. And for some reason, we see that she has other abilities that the other synths have not shown signs of yet, even though they're still a little newer than her to the program. We see that she's able to pretty much control a lot of things here a little bit. We also kind of get an idea of, where they're at with the crashing of the spaceship. And, of course, we have the brother eventually go with his, comrades and make their way to the crash site to see about survivors and all this kind of stuff, because they get sent in to help out. We also, at this point, too, we also get to see they see that the plane crashes into the building as well. As they're working out and stuff like that. So that's, kind of a decent scene. I like the crashing. I think that's really awesome. We also, at this point, we see the, basically the main character, female synth, suggesting that they go and help out in the situation too as well. And they start making their way and everything, and we see a little bit of them, trying to figure things out. We also see quite a few times here, dealing with certain characters. Of course, as you mentioned, the Great Massacre at the apartment. I think that was the most hilarious freaking thing ever, because that guy come out in full on like 1770s like look and everything, and whatever masquerade ball they were doing, whatever. And he's just like, they just tell him a spacecraft just crashed in your lobby. And he's just like, did this come from this person? Because I believe whatever they say. I don't believe what you say, Mr. Military guy or whatever. And I just started cracking up going, what the hell is wrong with this guy? You got a spacecraft size of a ship in your lobby, and you're just going to go back to your party. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, and so that scene was probably, I think, my favorite portion of this episode, because that was just like so funny and stupid at the same time. And even the medic guy's going, what the hell? This dude is an idiot, kind of deal. And of course, then the xenomorph, decides to pop up at this point and start killing people. You're just like, awesome. I mean, the poor military guy getting taken out first. You're like, oh, that sucks. And then of course somehow throughout this whole battle, we see the brother barely getting injured at this, and you're like, wow, that wasn't planned. And so I'm just like thinking of something like, wow, this guy's lucky if he keeps not getting killed. But then when the xenomorph goes into that party and kills everyone in there, it's just like blood everywhere. I was like, nice. This is a great OD to Alien and the great gore factor. And that's one thing about this series that I haven't been enjoying, that it is very TVMA. They're not holding back on the blood and the guts and all that kind of stuff. They're keeping it true to the Alien franchise. And that whole sequence, I think, is done really well. I think it's really great of the episode. And I think leading up to kind of like the halfway point, it's very action packed. It's very intriguing. A lot of stuff goes on. Of course, the cyborg pops up at some point here and stops the xenomorph from killing the brother. And you're just kind of like, okay, he puts him into some sort of like silk cocoon thing or whatever, or something like that, which was interesting. I was like, okay, I like to see more of that, because that's definitely interesting. But you're at the same time, you're like, why is he taking the xenomorph? Like, once again, going back to kind of what everyone said, like, what is really his intention? Like, is he being programmed to do this and that and this and so forth? So we just don't know. There's no conclusive evidence showing exactly why he's doing the things he is. So I think that was kind of an interesting point there. He zaps the brother with his gun, and I was like, dude, he's held it down. He's almost killed. Why would you zap him? That's not nice. But definitely that actor, he plays the cyborg very well, because he's very blank-faced. He's very straight-faced, and he plays it very well. And very emotionless and stuff like that, like a robot would be. And I think he's doing a decent job so far. So I think the first half of this episode is pretty decent, and it was definitely entertaining.
Ron, unmute yourself and go ahead.
This thing, I'm trying not to curse a lot, but this thing blew my effing mind. Blood splatter everywhere.
That's all you want, sir. Go ahead. You curse away.
Bloods. Okay, thank you. Let me be crying, rewind, and start cursing. It was fucking crazy. Blood splatter everywhere. Aliens killing the shit out of people. I think there's like a little bit of commentary on how rich people conduct themselves in these situations. This episode, and when danger is afoot, listen to people. It's like, you don't have to do everything somebody says, but if a bunch of people come to your door and say, hey, it's dangerous, shit's happening, listen to them, or you will be attacked by a alien with more platinum teeth than a southern rapper. I don't know what other signs you need, but yeah, overall action packed, really cool. I've never seen an alien get caught, so this cocoon that he was caught in is just really pretty amazing, man.
Yeah.
The fact that this thing isn't even like, it's flat on the ground and it's still, kind of encapsulates, envelops this thing in the way that it does is just pretty tremendous. So that means there's some world building going on here that we hadn't seen before. There's a way to capture these things in a way that we haven't seen before. That's a sign that that's going to come up again. I'm wondering when it's going to come up, and if he'll supply anybody else with these tools that he has, because he's the only one that really knows the dynamics of these killers. Is he going to tell enough people how to protect themselves, or is he just going to carry out the mission? I always have questions. I don't really have any criticisms or positive things to say. I just ask a series of questions until you get sick of me, and then you're gonna get to a point where you're like, he's asked too many fucking questions, and then it'll just be the end of the episode. But I do think this is a really promising action-packed episode that just I don't know, man. Like, again, am I the only one that's just in awe that we're watching aliens on TV? I haven't quite gotten over this. I feel spoiled, especially the fact that, think about it. When was the last between Romulus and Alien Covenant? How many years was that? Had to have been at least 5 or 6, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, 5. That's quite a long time. We went from no aliens, no buns for 5 years.
For like 10 years. Prometheus came out in like 2014 or 2012.
Right. But then Covenant came out, and then Romulus. So there was a little bit closer of a. But the fact that we went from no aliens for 5 years, and then Romulus, and then this TV show feels like we're eating pretty good in the aliens sort of category. Which, again, I'm trying to be objective about this thing, but I'm feeling like a spoiled little baby getting all of this content, this alien content that I never thought that when they said this show was going to come out, I didn't think this was going to come out until 2027. I got to be honest with you. The trailer came, and then I'm like, okay, this is actually really happening. And the fact that it's delivering on this level in terms of action, I thought the action scenes were going to be few and far in between in the second episode, and we got what'd you call it, Cyber? You called it the dinner murder or something like that. You had a cool term for it. But yeah, the fact that we watched the slaughter of a whole bunch of rich people probably made a lot of poor people very happy today watching that episode. But I'm just saying, like, it really is this cool undertaking of Alien in a new way. The fact that they're hunting people the way that they're hunting people.
Well, I think they just kill people, don't they? If there's no queen, right? If I remember correctly from the original, whole theory. If I remember correctly, if there's no queen and no reason to save live captives, I think they just kill people.
Yeah, they do.
Gotta love it. You gotta love it. It's really exciting to watch. I'm wondering if we're gonna get some fight back. I mean, because these things are whooping ass. It's Human 0, Aliens 2005, 2006 people. They've been murdering people at a pretty alarming rate. So I'm like to see if the synthetics or some of these new groups of people fight back. I'm really curious about that, but overall, really loved the first half.
All right, John, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that talking about the sort of whatever we call that, whatever era they're dressed up as in that party, the French aristocrats or whatever. I think that to me that points up a thing that the Alien movies have always kind of played around with, which is there, or maybe not always, but there's a real element of class struggle or class disparity in these movies. And it's kind of an accepted fact that the Alien movies all have their own way of critiquing late stage capitalism, where corporations are devaluing people's lives and manipulating people and going for some ambiguous profit. The fact that there's like a mission where the cargo, and this even in this show they were like the cargo or whatever, the specimens are the mission, like that. It's more important that those arrive back to Earth than the people on board. And the companies that want this shit, it's like, oh, well, there was a crash and all these people died, but if we can still catch our specimens, then we're doing okay, and this mission is a success. So I think that the extension of that into seeing the kind of the fake French aristocrats in the party, it's just a very decadent thing to be doing while we know there is this class disparity, but also while we know this horrible disaster happened that day. Imagine if someone was, basically had a view of 9/11 and they were having the party that they had planned that day. That's real, almost like end of times sort of stuff. So I do think that's interesting. And I think I still, like I said, I think that the Alien is vaguely selective with who it kills immediately and who it doesn't, but I do love seeing the aftermath of that room full of folks. I think the fact that there's a guy with a wig on who's had a similar fate to the cat in that he's dragging his front half around on the ground. It's very gory. It's amazing to me the stuff that you can have on a show like this, and yet it still has those like periodic fades to black, like we're going to get a commercial break, so it's just a very strange thing. But television has been breaking these boundaries, and in fact, some ways stuff that's been rated for a certain level of viewer on television, sometimes they're bolder than they ever are, even with an R-rated movie, as far as like the gore or whatever. And I feel like this show is delivering. It's maybe it'll be a quick shot, but you will get, like, for instance, the soldier who got, like, I think his face wrecked by the xenomorph. They show him for a second. He's in the dark, but it's that ruined face. You know, any kind of face trauma is always very disturbing in terms of gore and in terms of body horror. So I think that this show is paying all that stuff off. And again, if this episode's set piece was all about seeing the xenomorph dismantle as many people as possible quickly, so that we feel threatened by him in the later scenes, there is still some element of the xenomorph. I'm not saying the xenomorph has a secret plan that we're going to find out about, but he is doing something. I don't know quite what does the xenomorph think he's doing? I wonder if we're going to get into that at all, because at this point, all we really have to go on is that if you're showing fear, then he zeroes right in on that. But, you know, that feels a little too easy for me. So I think we might find out a little bit more, but definitely Morrow, his ability to catch a xenomorph and drag him off in a net that he shot onto him. It's like, that does feel like technology that, where's that technology in the other film? So again, it kind of feels like this whole cyborg thread is something that they're going to almost have to explain away. In some ways, I think this stretch of the show was when I was at the most engrossed, was like going from the end of the first episode with that cool, humans. As a former human, Kirsch is telling Wendy that she used to be food. I thought that was a really cool conversation. We didn't really talk about that line, but now we're seeing evidence of that. Like the first half of this episode is all about how, humans are still very much food, no matter what they tell themselves. Although I guess the xenomorph isn't really eating them much. He's not really using the whole buffalo. He's kind of wasting a lot.
Just destroying them.
Maybe he's planning on coming back later or sticking something in the freezer before he gets zapped. I think any kind of weapon that can like electrocute a xenomorph is a cool weapon to have, because the whole problem with them has always been the second you start killing them, their acid is shooting everywhere. But this is a way to take one out, or at least immobilize him without without breaking his skin and causing the acid defense to kick in. So, Morrow is he's like a Swiss Army man.
Yeah, the alien didn't even have like a cool fall. It was like a yada 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 yada.
No,
it was like
he was like Ghostface in Scream. He became
Joe too, when he made that jump and he missed and he hit the fucking the concrete. Like, you would have been fucked up in real life if that happened to you. And then he hits the fucking concrete on the floor below, right? And like jumps from a fucking fall, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And runs through the area. Fuck that, bro. You would be fucking knocked, like your whip would get knocked out or some shit. If you fell that fucking far on concrete, you know what I'm saying? You'd be fucked up, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but like, that was a stretch, man.
I do feel like the xenomorph took a little bit of a second, like, to get up. He didn't like get up and shake his head or anything, but he did sort of seem like he was a little winded for a xenomorph.
If you jump and miss that concrete and you hit that fucking exposed concrete and shit with your body, you're gonna be fucked up, bro. So that's all.
That's where we're stuck. Is the would you be okay? Not like
right.
The fact that there are aliens eating people.
I was about to say, you're not suggesting this show is unrealistic, are you, Jeff?
I've got to point that out. Danny, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I like the first half of the episode. Ron, we're eating even better because we got the new Predator Badlands. They're crossing over.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Great trailer, by the way.
Yeah. So we're kind of like in like I don't want to say a golden era of Alien, but it's a lot of good stuff happening right now.
Yeah.
But the first half of the episode I thought was, especially with the highlight seems to be the rich people party. The only thing missing from that is like he just sort of like tipped them. It's like, here's a here's some coins for your trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like the xenomorph action. I liked how it was revealed, where like you think it's part of the kind of waterfall statue in the back, and you see it, you're like, oh fuck, they're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah, so the great suspense, and I liked the kind of zeroing in on or following up on the whole corporate politics of it, where they're squabbling over a lawsuit, and it's like, well, this is my territory, and your product crash land on my on my land. And he's like, I'm going to sue you for damages. You destroyed all my buildings and killed a bunch of my people. So I just like the whole kind of like, maybe we're going to deal with like an intergalactic lawsuit, but like have it be interesting. Like maybe that's like the second part of the season or something, where like, because I have a feeling they're not, if I'm going to be disappointed if they just kind of stay like the whole season is this kind of rescue mission, because while I like what happened in this episode, I feel like they kind of used all their bag of tricks with like what could kind of possibly happen. And I saw like one or two shots from a trailer, or like a promo or something, where like looked like they were carrying somebody on like a log or like a raft kind of thing, and then outside. So at least we're gonna get a different environment. So I like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, for the most part, this first half episode is really fast paced. I like that we kind of power right through the whole the reunion between the brother and sister. Like I said, like I like Noah Hawley taking these kind of subjects that you think would, or plot lines you think would kind of be rote, and they just kind of just like, oh, by the way, this is your sister. And he's like, no, really? What the fuck? And so they kind of like do it in like a kid would be like, ha, 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 this is your sister. Like, and she's like, oh, I told you not to tell him. So kind of like children squabbling about that. So really nice that we're kind of moving the puck forward a lot quicker than I thought we would, especially compared to the first episode where they had to establish so much.
Okay. Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of the same. I mean, I really like the blend of you've got the action, you've got the gore, you've got the violence. I did like the scene, where they're kind of going back and forth about the ship landing on their territory and, asking for permission to send a crew, and basically saying if you do, that'll be like a hostile act. And that idea of like these two corporations fighting each other while there's this ground issue happening in the meantime, with these creatures and the soldiers that are there and the crew that's there and these new hybrids that are shortly arriving. So I think that all, these plates spinning, you're starting to see a couple things happening in tandem, and you're kind of, again, you plant that seed and you wait for those things to collide again, because you hope that gets to a point, or at least I do. In this season so far, you can feel the tension between Prodigy and Weyland Yutani, and them being on Prodigy's land is, I think, just adds to the conflict. But yeah, I don't know. I dig the xenomorph action. I guess overall, it just feels great that it's just a lot of shit is happening. Whether that's bad in terms of you've kind of showed so much already of what could be. But I mean, I just feel like, some of these shows, you got to wait a while to kind of really get into some of this action or to see so much of a xenomorph. But maybe this show's real angle is like the other creatures that we haven't seen, like what else they are and what else they can do. And eventually we'll see some of that stuff. But the xenomorph action has been really cool, and just like very abrupt and very quick. And I dug like, when he jumps and, it's jumping behind him and like swiping at him. It's like you see that in a bit of a slow-mo, and I think it happens again later in the episode in a different context. But yeah, I don't know. I just really enjoy so far that balance. I think this episode even more so is kind of getting into the pacing of an episode that I think a show like this could really, if it can maintain it, this could really end up being like something special.
Okay. Thank you very much. Andre's
Sure.
Pop Culture Guide. You know where we're at, sir? We're talking about the first half of episode 2.
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of agree with everyone. I thought it was really surprising that we got a lot of horror action. I was kind of surprised that I think, as Steve, talked about just now, the first episode was pretty much a setup, episode. It was just trying to get us into the plot, the characters, everyone that we had to kind of like adjust to for the next, 8, the total 8 episodes we have. So, with the second episode, it was like, leading like like almost like a bullet train, just like fast paced. You know, we got our action horror, stuff. Mixed here with seeing some of the other, aliens, and it was good to see some of the other Siths. I didn't catch on that they named themselves after Peter Pan characters. Now I'm like, oh my god, I mean, I grew up watching Peter Pan. I mean, the 2003 version and of course the Disney one. So just these names are so funny. I'm like Curly, Nibs, Smith. I mean, Toothless, and I mean, and then Slightly. By the way, Slightly, what the hell is wrong with you? You don't tell the brother that it's the sister. Come on, it's the secret. That's your pal. You don't broke the bro code or the whatever you want to call it. The code is like, come on, Slightly. Oh my god. I was shocked about right away we just revealed that this is the sister. Well, later on we the reveal happened so quickly, which I was shocked that we did that, but makes sense. I didn't want them to drag that out through the whole season because you couldn't make it very boring, and it's and then why are other protagonists or this other character not picking up the signs and the symbol, the signs and the obvious stuff that she knows about him. That's kind of weird. But yeah, so the big one I was kind of surprised was getting more of the motivation why Kevlar, the boy, wanted to create the hybrid project. Because he wanted to compete with artificial intelligence. That's interesting. And in this episode we got the beginning where we saw Wendy using his her initial abilities, of seeing her brother, and that was a big shock. I was like, oh, I see, because it made the conversation he had with the actress, the Dr. Dam Sylvie, played by the great Essie Davis, who's amazing, from Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, and of course she was in the Babadook horror movie, which was great. Now it made sense why that conversation. Yeah, Babadook is good film, and it made sense why he wanted to find another person with, in his level, and and he's seeing that with Wendy, but also he's forcing that on Wendy by adding these additional things to her to become this higher power that's in level to him. And plus, we didn't bring up in this episode we see he's doing something with her with the noise that she's picking up. I'm very curious what's that about, because we see that he can see what the kids are seeing in the ship. If you pay attention, he has a camera in their eyes because they're Synths. So that was a tricky thing. And then going through the whole the hotel, I guess. The party was awesome. I mean, I knew that guy was snobbish, right away with the dress and that dressed up at the 1920 or whatever there was. I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna die, and his party friends is gonna die. And oh my god, one thing I do appreciate this, just wrapping up, was how clever they're hiding the xenomorphs. One of the things I hate about these creatures sometimes, even games, if you play against them, they always hide just like bugs, here in the corner, and it's you don't know they're there. And it was so cool that they he was actually the xenomorph was right there standing in the statue cover, and that poor fellow soldier gets killed. And yeah, I agree with Steve. It's great. TV, you see a lot of gore and action. I mean, they can push forward the gore more than say the movies, and just seeing the two mouth coming out and bursting into the guy's head was glorious. And then the massacre, then and then after was very bloody, which is really great. So I think the opening was really good. I was very happy that we had a better fast pace, and I appreciate we got more horror action. Was really good, and I was impressed by what's the endpoint?
You're there, sir.
Okay, with more tasing the sea morph, that was a really cool addition. Like, I agree with Steve about, like, yeah, these sea morphs have like acid, you know, stuff in their body when you if you cut them, and so that was actually kind of cool idea to like yeah, tease them and wrap them up. But man, those soldiers were so stupid when he was trying to drag that sea morph and then they get killed. So that's all I had to say. Those soldiers did their death. They were death to mark when they say like drop it when you have there, and like the sea morph like was like cracky in the thing. I was like, oh god, they're gonna die. And man, that was glorious. Love the horror stuff here. It's great.
Okay, so arriving in Prodigy City, hybrids Toodles, Smee, Nibs, and Curly encounter two other dangerous extraterrestrial specimens. The leech one and the eyeball one. Wendy locates her brother with Slightly, a fellow hybrid, but he doesn't recognize her. Slightly reveals her true identity to a shocked hermit who believed Wendy Marcy to have died. The three encounter several xenomorph eggs and are ordered by Kirsch to contain them until a hazmat team arrives. Hermit is dragged away by the xenomorph, and Wendy chases after him, and that's the end of the episode. So I will go to you first, Danny. What are your thoughts on that? The back half of episode 2.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already talked about the whole kind of brother-sister reveal there. That I like that, how just kind of we real efficient with it. I thought it was just the whole scene where he was like, where they find the eggs. I was like, oh no, this is how Billy Crudup got fucked. And then he's just like slowly like looking at all the eggs. And I'm like, no, like I was really tense. And then I was actually surprised that we didn't see a face hugger. We've only kind of seen in like a dead face hugger, I think, or like one that was like in the tube. So we haven't actually seen somebody get impregnated with the xenomorph. So I'm interested to see if, because so far Joe's been in like 2 or 3 encounters with the xenomorph that like it's getting a little kind of unbelievable that he keeps surviving. So I want to see maybe at least have him get injured in the next episode, like a little bit, because like he literally got taken away. So I'd like to see some more stakes instead of not so deliberate. Like this guy is one of the main characters. I like the whole Wendy, I guess on a character level, like finally reuniting with her brother and then instantly gets taken away. So that's going to be really motivating for her to go find him again. And maybe even hijack the whole mission instead of getting what the Boy Cavalier wants with the, like, bring the eggs. Like she has a clear opportunity to bring the eggs back. Now she has to go get her brother. Now she's kind of abandoning mission. So I wonder if she's maybe Boy Cavalier has like a protocol in her machinery that makes her shut off or something, or maybe he can like manually control her or something. So I'm interested to see what kind of ideas they come up with for the next episode.
Okay, Steve, go ahead. Unmute, Steve.
He's practicing too.
Like John said, we all do it so well. I'm not used to muting. It's just like, I'm sorry. So I guess basically just to mirror my comment about the end of episode 1, I really just love the idea of really banging home the idea of the adventure, like the edge, the aggression. I don't know what the right word is, but that Wendy has, the fact that she's going after her brother and not following an order, basically. And again, talk like you got a needle drop, a big, like a 90s metal song, Stinkfest comes on, and from Tool, and I just really like the escalation of what is Wendy's character going to be to Prodigy, to Boy Cavalier. Like it's like the answer to, I think Andres was saying, like at the beginning of the episode, it's like he's kind of created her. He's kind of given her these protocols that he's never, used before, to kind of have this counter, or to have this, partner in challenging him. And it seems like, maybe she's going to end up challenging him in ways that he maybe didn't plan, which is not just intellectual challenge, but like, whether she actually follows orders, whether she's motivated by his same motivation, whether that, she does tap into something that connects her to this family member that she did bring with her from her human form into this hybrid form. And I don't know, I just really love that consistency. I love ending the first one that way. I love ending the second one this way. It escalates her character. It escalates the stakes in terms of her as an investment. Like, I think Danny was saying earlier. Like, I just like this idea of, she clearly has a motivation that is unique to her, and amongst her crew of hybrids, like I said before, she's like this maternal figure, but in that moment, she just leaves him behind. Like she says, just stay with the eggs, like Kirsch said, and wait for somebody to come and get you. But then she's off to the races to find her brother. I just really dig that, and I think, I want to see that continue. I hope to see that continue in the episodes going forward, because I really am growing to really like this character of Wendy, and I don't know, like hopefully, like I want her to become this like badass character, and she seems like she's going to be, and like I think even in the first episode you get these glimpses of what she can do, her strength, and how there maybe is a formidable challenge to some of these creatures, and her quest to kind of get her brother and to reunite with him and to maybe have a life with him in some way. But yeah, no, I love the ending to this episode, and I just I'm excited to see more.
Okay. Cyber, go ahead.
All right. So the final portion of episode 2, Mr. October, basically we get, kind of a little more in depth into the other hybrids, Toodles, Smee, Nibs, Curly, who are all references to Neverland, who are all references to Peter Pan. As was mentioned before, we get a lot of Neverland references in that first episode, which is hilarious. And the fact that they're showing Peter Pan on the screen above them as they're transferring consciousness is definitely like, hey, we're owned by Disney. So I think that's absolutely hilarious, because it's like, 20th Century Studios is now Disney. But anyways, I think that this portion is quite interesting. I mean, with all the kind of the action that goes on, we see the other extraterrestrial specimens, as was mentioned. We have the kind of the initial meeting of each other with the new body with Wendy and her brother. And, she's got to prove who she is. He thought she's been dead this whole time. So like that, and that's kind of interesting. At the same time, I could have done without it. I didn't really need that, but I think that it still played okay into the story. Of course, all the encounters with the xenomorphs throughout this, and the eggs, which was really awesome. I love seeing the giant thing of xenomorph eggs. That was awesome. I was like, yes, aliens. It totally made me think of Alien, and like feeling like it's a real good part of the Alien universe. And seeing all those eggs, you're just like, oh crap, this is not good with all those eggs. And what always cracks me up about these movies and this TV show is how the hell they create those xenomorphs, make this many eggs in such a short amount of time, is what I'm always like, what the what do they speed popping those things out? I'm like, how did they create that many in that fast of a time? Because it feels like the time span, from when we, in the first episode when we saw them like, oh, everything's all cozy, and then all of a sudden to the crashing into Prodigy, you're like, that didn't seem like that much of a time frame. And you're thinking, how the hell did that thing produce that many eggs in that short amount of time? And I was just thinking, always like, wow, that's amazing how fast they can do that. It's kind of like a spider laying all its eggs at once, billions of eggs, in that little sack. But anyways,
super horny.
This is probably. Anyways, so I mean, I think that that scene is really cool. I love seeing all the cool eggs where the egg huggers will come out, stuff like that, which is really cool. We find out that a hazmat team has arrived and is ordered to contain it. In this portion. And then, of course, we have kind of how the episode ends with Hermit being, stolen by an xenomorph and Wendy going after him. And this sequence too, you kind of, like I said, you get to understand these other synths a little bit, these characters like that, and kind of understand like how childlike they still all are and so like that. That's fun to see kind of their development and growth. But overall, I think it's a solid ending to a decent episode.
Okay. John, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I liked this episode. I did like the first half, maybe the story stuff, getting us set up a little bit more than the second half. But I mean, I think this is where that feeling of wanting to know a little bit more about what's going on, because it does kind of seem like Joe. I sort of hate that phrase plot armor, but I do sort of think that Joe has a little bit of plot armor. I think there were a couple of moments in this episode where he survived a moment that looked like he wouldn't, and it felt like like when he's jumping across and all that stuff, like moments where it's like this would be the end of him, but for a miscalculation or a little bit of luck on his part. And as the episode ended, I was like, the biggest shock at this point in this show that they could do would be to kill Joe. because Wendy does seem like the character we might be following, and she's got like this kind of superpower, and I do wonder how much time we're going to spend with these characters with the the other Lost Boys and her, like the idea that maybe we're going to see them mature in an accelerated way, or maybe we're going to be with them in this childlike state throughout the season. It's hard to know, but it is true that Noah Hawley has indicated that he sees like a multi-season plan for this show. So maybe in this first installment, they're all going to be kind of childlike, and maybe if there's future seasons, we'll catch up with those characters later. So it's really hard to know like how long we're going to spend with them in this kind of childlike state. But I did think that this episode made good use of that. That's already been commented on, of just how they're kind of having fun at points, or kind of excited, and then they're scared. And I mean, it's an interesting new sort of set of interactions to see characters having with the idea of encountering a xenomorph. A, none of these characters know what they're encountering. And B, we don't really know the shape it's going to take in this movie or this show. And then you throw into it the other creatures and how all those encounters, we have the thing that they can't say for sure whether it's a plant or whether it's a living creature, and obviously it's doing some kind of examining of the situation. But what was it responding to? Did it leave the hybrid person that was watching it alone because they're hybrid, because they're synthetic, or did it leave them alone just because it didn't know what it was doing yet? I mean, it feels like there's a calculating intelligence to these other creatures, and I don't think we've seen the last of like that deepening of our understanding of that. So I think this is a really great setup to 6 more episodes. Like at the end of this, I really was kind of what Steve said. I was really ready for more. I really like the some of the again, we've seen the eggs before, but we haven't seen it in a situation quite like this. The whole fake out of leaning over the egg and it not turning out to be anyone's demise. Just little things like that. I think Noah Hawley clearly knows what the rhythm of an alien movie or show in this case is, and he's playing with those expectations. He and the team on this show are playing with those expectations, so they know what they're doing. I do think that if I were to say who am I most interested in at this point, it's Morrow, Wendy, and Kirsch, actually. I do think we've only seen the kind of beginning hint of what might motivate him. And again, I expect us to see some kind of flashback episodes or some kind of stories later in the season that explain some of these characters and go back and give us a little bit of why they're in the story in the way that they are. But I think, Kirsch, what was that great line he had? Fear is for animals. Is that what he said when they were walking down that hallway? I like that he's trying to get these hybrids to sort of embrace their syntheticness, and maybe other people on the team that have created this technology, they want to see them as almost human or continuing to be human, or an extension of humanity, a preservation of humanity. We might look at that and say this is the end of humanity. I don't know. It's an interesting thing that they're setting up there. I will throw in one last little thing with regards to that, though. That question of, is this an abomination or not? It reminded me a lot. I don't know. I think probably everyone on the show, if it's called the MCU's Bleeding Edge, maybe you watched Ironheart. But Ironheart had a character that was like an AI recreation of somebody, and their brother encountered it, and when they found out what was going on, was deeply offended and said, this Basically, this isn't Abomination. This isn't this person anymore. This is a recreation of them. I thought it was interesting that Joe's reaction to finding out that his sister was, preserved in this way or recreated in this way was to pretty quickly embrace it and start treating her like his sister again, as opposed to being kind of creeped out that someone has used technology to kind of fake the existence of his sister. I wonder if we're going to come back around to that at any point. And someone mentioned already the mystery of what Wendy's potential might be and what she might be up to. Maybe later in the season or later in the show, if those two characters continue to be our leads, maybe we'll see a little bit of a difference there, or a little bit of a disillusionment with this idea of this program that it kind of sets itself up as something we should have questions about, right? Basically exploiting sick children to put their personalities into robots. So I just don't. This can't be like a show about how great that technology is. So I don't think we've seen the last of it. But in this episode, it was kind of interesting how quickly Joe accepted it, rather than being maybe horrified as you might be in that situation.
Okay, Andres.
Yeah, we seen Ironheart. God, I mean, it's a long time we seen that. Mephisto finally came. Thank goodness. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from, John, about that. I guess the thing, I felt like this was more realistically possible than the one in Ironheart. Well, first off, like that show, like it was struggling way too much in terms of the AI thing for me to kind of care and care about the brother of the dead friend. I kind of feel like we needed more time to develop that and appreciate and understand that he didn't like the way we did it. And unfortunately, that show didn't went in the direction of psychologically, is really moving on from that tragedy. We didn't really discuss that. They went in a direction that I was surprised they did, but this is not the Ironheart. But with this, it makes a lot of sense. I feel like with the brother is because I think he's not too surprised because this is a corporation that is able to do a lot of things, and this could be a miracle. And also, he's alone. He's really alone now. We got confirmation from this episode that the dad is dead too. He died a year earlier. And of course, I think
played by Noah Hawley. Did anyone notice that?
Yes,
that
I
the
knew
dad
that.
was played by Noah Hawley. Okay.
Yeah, I
What a weird part to give yourself as the creator of the show.
Yeah, I was like, why are you being the dad, Noah Hawley? And it's just weird when he had the eye patch as the older man. I was like, oh, okay.
I was reading an interview and they were saying that he did that because his son plays the boy version of Joe.
Okay.
And his son wanted to be in the show, so he's like, okay, you can be in the show and I'll be your dad because I'm your dad.
I'm your dad.
And don't you fucking forget it, kid.
Yeah, don't you forget it.
Or I'm gonna send you the sleeve board to eat you, son. No offense. Anyway, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's cool. I didn't have a problem with that. I was like, I mean, he looks kind of similar to the brother, as the older one. I mean, it really seems realistic. Yeah, I'm very curious what's gonna happen with Wendy. I agree with John about what you say before, the potential of her overcoming the particle and just really overthrowing the kid, not in intelligence but in the ethical way of look, this is not how I do it. This is and also questioning either she is a synth or a human being, because he just sees these kids as properties, he didn't say it or kind of like Lex Luthor saying to Superman, "You're it." He doesn't we don't see these people as people. It's product or they're creatures that should not be among us. And so, we haven't yet seen that with the kid, but he's the fact that he's just throwing so much of these property, these creation of millions of thousands of dollars to this dangerous place is kind of that's something I can see a billionaire to do, so I'm very curious how Wendy's gonna grow and really expand as a character. It definitely seems like a coming age story for her character, which is good. I think it's very interesting to do in an alien story. We haven't done that yet. And so I think that there's a lot of potential there. But I do agree with a lot of you guys brought up before with the brother. He's having such a horror 101, like the character protections. Like I get it. It's a norm. It's a horror trope. Like you have to get used to it. But I feel like they have to pace out his danger, like for it to not look like he's having, protection vest, character protection, like we've seen with other movies and TV horror stuff adjacent. But I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, it's there, but for me, it's like at least pace out his danger. Like I think, like it's fine that he was in danger. Like last episode where he was jumping that thing, which I agree with you guys that it was impossible for him to and his pals, the soldiers, to even make it that. Like as Jess said before, they easily get killed. Either falling or getting hit by that doors. I mean, that's gonna easily hurt their bones. Yeah. So I thought this ending was okay. The eggs thing, usually what I heard from the alien lore is when they have the dead victims, they usually use that as a way to form their eggs and form the face hugger, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. That's always how they get these eggs. If you don't have an alien queen, as we've seen, with aliens and some of the other adjacent projects of Alien. But yeah, I mean, because there was a deleted scene in Alien where the one xenomorph was cocooning Dallas because he was saving him to form him into the egg of the facehugger. That's how usually the aliens do. So if they had their victims, they usually use them as a way to form their eggs. If they don't have the alien queen in their sight. So anyway, so it's great finale. I love the nail drop here as well. I really like all the Peter Pan stuff here, and especially I totally forgot that Schmovie is my favorite character from Peter Pan. Is that the one Bob Hawkins played in the?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I just always remember when Captain Hook was trying to commit suicide. Sorry. And then he said "Oh my God, not again, Captain, please." in the Hook movie. Despite that movie's not good, but I mean, come on. Now I'm getting into Peter Pan stuff. Sorry. Anyway, great ending. Very excited to move forward with you guys with this series. Is a blast.
All right, Ron.
Hello. First and foremost, thank you guys for this marathon experience. 2 episodes. We're at the end. Yeah, the world's being built. Tension is being built. The alien lore is being expanded a little bit. Like I said, I think my biggest conflict in all of this is seeing how they're opening up the lore and they're going to close it up if this is a prequel. I'm like, what? There's so many things that they're like bringing into the story, like how to capture aliens. I'd never seen this before. Casting a net over them and being able to electrocute them, and this stuff. I'm wondering how it's going to take form in whatever the future version of this is, or like people are saying how some of these stories are going to be bookended before they kind of lead into the events of what we know as now Alien. This is interesting. It's really cool. And I do like the idea, like Andres was saying, about the companies that are competing for this technology. It's wild to think that there's this state where people just want to live forever or have more intelligence or be stronger, and who's going to be the first to win this arms war, because it is a war. I mean, because what will essentially happen is that group will be the most powerful, the most armed, the most equipped for whatever version of the world is going to exist after this. So that's some big questions. I mean, it's weird how in this story the aliens have become a bigger issue, but also a smaller issue, because this is so big. The scale of what the kid is planning in all of this, and immortality. You can go from body to body to body for the rest of your. I was going to say the rest of your life, or whatever, for the rest of whatever you even call that, the rest of your existence. I guess that's really cool. I mean, the idea of all that, but it feels like it's just going to affect the rich.
So Ronald, what do you think is the most far-fetched thing that happens in this? That people can program their personalities into an android, or the fact that in 100 years people are still watching Ice Age 4?
I think beyond that, jumping from from a higher floor to a lower floor and not breaking a bone, as Jeff said,
not shattering your ankles.
I watched that shit. I had a hat. I threw that hat on the ground, and I said, I bet Jeff from fucking Bleeding Edge is gonna hate this shit. Jumping off a goddamn ledge and not breaking any bones.
You said, if I know Jeff,
he's gonna be pissed about this.
Excuse me, I'm the one here in the group that's the youngest, and Ice Age rules. This one.
I'm just questioning if in 100 years,
we're
that's gonna be the
movie.
Like I've been at a cabin where they only have a couple of DVDs on the shelf, and you watch whatever's there. But I wonder what happened culturally that everyone's like, oh yeah, we've all seen Ice Age.
Yeah.
I love when you know it's the fourth one.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. The fourth
and
one.
And that, John, is why it will be okay in 100 years. Is because you knew it was the fourth one.
Because Captain, what's his name? Isn't that the one that's got the captain in it? I think.
Yeah.
You tell me, John. You tell me.
They're like Toy Story. No. There's a franchise that's much better than Toy Story. It's called Ice Age.
Yeah, Toy Story's got no legs.
100 years later.
We're gonna watch Balto 3.
But yeah, just super excited about what's to come, and the fact that this. What's really also interesting? This alien is brutally murdering people, and it gently tackles this kid to like. It's just like this.
Well,
like,
the alien can tell that he's frail. Like he's he's like an indoor kid. Yeah,
he's playing like flag football with this kid and kind of gently.
All this like search and rescue guys, like they're like Marines, and then you got this like scrawny kid. He's like, I'm a medic.
I'm gonna give him a shot.
I'll give him a shot.
I wanted to add one thing really quickly. I think Andre was getting to it a little bit before. The scene where the Lost Boys, I forget, it was like you were talking about Smee. He was the one that actually was holding this little like octopus eye thing down.
Oh yeah.
But like that whole scene, the way that those Lost Boys reacted to what they saw, like that was such a great scene, because you're instantly reminded again, like these are kids. Like he specifically he starts yelling monster, monster, monster over and over again, like a child would when they saw something that like they knew was not good, and all of them kind of react that way. Like I just thought that scene when you mentioned Smee before, I had a note here to mention that, and I forgot to earlier, but I think just the way that those specific characters, those hybrids, more so than Wendy, they're just like kids, man. They're just like, they're scared, and they're unsure of what they're looking at, and they're using the language even that a child would use to describe what they're seeing, and I thought that was really cool.
Okay, Ron, give me your 1 through 10 rating for episode 2, please.
Unmute.
Unmute.
No, don't unmute. Say it, and then you'll unmute, and then you round it up 0.5.
Yeah. I'm going to give this one a smooth 8.
Okay. A smooth 8. John, go ahead. Give me your rating, John.
I'm going to give it an 8.5. I feel like it wasn't quite as strong as the first episode overall because of some of those kind of plot contrivances around certain characters surviving or whatever. But I still think it's an extremely I forget who said it before, but like I'm just so ready now for whatever crazy stuff might be coming on this show now that they've set up all these different elements that all feel like they're part of the same thing. And I think they've already kind of gotten over that hurdle of, can you do justice to the Alien franchise with this particular take, with this television show? So yeah, 8.5 for the second episode.
Okay. Thank you, John. And I'll give it an 8 myself. Steve.
I'm going 9 again.
Okay, Danny.
Yeah, I like this one a lot better. The 9 because I think the pacing picked up a lot better, and so the first one had to establish everything, and I'm more of a, I guess, get to it kind of guy. So yeah, the 9.
Get right to it. Okay. Fabulous. We like to hear that, Danny, at the bleeding edge. That's the perfect kind of attitude to have. Cyber, what's your rating, sir?
I gave this one a 9 as well. I thought it was a very solid episode.
Okay, Andre's the pop culture guy.
Okay. I didn't rate the first episode. I'll give it a 10. Great start for a show. Episode 2, I agree with everyone. I give it a 9. I think it was like straight to the point. Love the horror, gore, violently, which is great. Plus, adding Disney product I totally forgot. Ice Age is now Disney.
Yeah, it was Fox, right? Or
it was Fox. Yes, and same thing with Peter Pan, and then whatever franchise that I mean, it's Disney is just showing off right now, So 9 out of 10 with this episode. It's really awesome.
Disney's
right.
basically way
Disney and Disney owns Hulu. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the show is being featured. So there you go, folks. There's our review of Alien Earth episodes 1 and 2. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate everybody that came on tonight. We are going to do our content plugs. So I'm going to start off. Danny, you go first, brother.
So you can find me. So this is my page at Seen It Before. This is my co-host Dan, who's on the left. You can find me at Danny_Was on my Instagram. My letterbox is serialized at DJ Was, or my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Danny Was. And then we also do another show called Duel of the Debates. We've been actually doing it in the midst of our tournament now. So we just kind of pick a question about something pop culture related. Like right now we're doing like best actor, actress, director of the last 25 years. And we get 3 people to argue about it, and then we figure out who's right, and they fight for an actual medal crown. So a lot of fun. But this is the Seen It Before. This is the main show. We do movie reviews and stuff. So, but yeah.
Okay, thank you, Danny. All right, next. Whoever wants to speak for movie Schmovie, I guess that's you, Ron. I'm not sure.
I have to unmute again, huh? Okay. So yes, Movie Schmovie Podcast, youtube.com/Movie Schmovie Podcast is how you reach it on YouTube. Movieschmovie.com will take you to a hub that you can reach the podcast on all of the major platforms, which is really cool. We talk about all sorts of stuff, including Alien Earth, which we talked about. But yeah. Anyway, sorry. I don't know why that felt like something I had to say. But yeah.
Well, what a twist.
The twist. No, but yeah, we love talking about movies. We're in 460 episodes in. We love what we do. It's been about 10 years. We're open to guests. So, if you guys want to reach out to us and swing on down to us, we'd love to collaborate.
Just let me know. I'll come over and do a movie review with you guys. Just let me know, brother.
Love that. I would love that. I need your dislike of jumping from high surfaces to come to the podcast.
We actually should just theme a show around Jeff where we get all the movies that have jumps that are
I just
questionable.
have to be realistic, sir. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I've been through some. I've done some crazy shit before in my life. When I was younger, I've done some pranks physically and shit like that. Whatnot. And I've been hurt, and I just know for a fact that if I jumped off that fucking ledge and landed on that raw open concrete or whatever with that force, I'd be fucking hurt.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But yeah, stop on by, listen to the podcast, like and subscribe. I think you'll like it. There
you go. All right, movie. That's it's a tongue twister. All right, Andre's the pop culture guy, sir.
Well, I can expect that. Well, thank you everyone for coming today. It was great to see you, John, Steve, and Ron. It was really great to meet you guys. Hopefully, we can collaborate with movies. I'm a big movie guy. And it was great to see you, Danny. Welcome back. It was great to talk to you again with TV stuff. Yeah, so recently, this week has been Batman week because my birthday is tomorrow. Well, today now, actually, my birthday. So I'm gonna.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. So I'm doing some Batman Begins related content or Batman content there. So, but yesterday I posted my last part of Superman / Fantastic Four. Is this comic 90s crossover? You can read now. All 3 parts are there. I didn't know. This Assist, it's written by Dan Jurgens from the Death of Superman fame. In short, I recently reviewed a 2019 horror movie called Crow. Really great one. I saw it like a month ago. It was really good, so I reviewed that. Tonight I'm going to do another movie clip. And no live streams this week, but the next live stream me and Jeff are going to do is Sinners. That's going to be in the 24th, next Sunday. So that's where I'm at. So thank you, everyone. For joining us, and I probably will do like a short review on Alien to review it, maybe see if there's some interest there as well. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now in my content.
All right, Cybernetic Shark, sir.
All right, folks, if you enjoy me here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge on the panel or as a moderator, you can check out my solo content. You'll find me under Cybernetic Shark. You'll find me on YouTube, TikTok, X, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Patreon, Tumblr even. Check me out. But anyways, as you can see there, my most recent trailer reaction is, of course, for Avatar, Fire and Ash, which comes out in December. And my most recent review is 28 years later. If you haven't seen either of those, definitely check those out. Very fun to create and put out for you guys. Most recently, I put up a few recent mini reviews for you guys of some films I've recently watched. I just recently started watching the Evil Bong films. And I tell you, I absolutely freaking love them. I think they're freaking hilarious. So if you haven't seen any of those, definitely check those out. If you haven't seen Clown in the Cornfield or The Ugly Stepsister, Drop or Woman in the Yard, check out those mini reviews. Very interesting films. Really enjoyed Drop. Clown in the Cornfield was very interesting, and Ugly Stepsister was a very interesting take on the Cinderella story. So definitely check that out as well. Shudder, people, on Shudder. Anywho, as always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing to our channels. Keep on trucking. Keep on watching us. Keep on watching us here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We appreciate you guys, and glad to have this great panel on tonight. Y'all did a great job.
There you go. Like Cyber said, we really appreciate everybody that came on. Rate and follow our podcast at the MCU's Bleeding Edge YouTube channel. And we are out of here, folks. Much love to everybody out there in general, and we will see you again for me and Cyber and Andres anyway on Friday for the Skulls. And then next week we start Peacemaker season 2, so that should be really interesting. So later, folks. Peace.